Elementary home quiz date.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 9th of October, 2016. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Having my early podcast tea. Wait,
And Robert Kemp.
early in the podcast tea. Not, this podcast is not at all early in any way. This is about as late as we ever start.
Why, do you get up and make more tea during the podcast?
No.
It's always an early podcast tea, isn't it?
In fairness, Zach probably starts a brew now, and then at the end of the podcast, there's
They'll be ready.
Be
Does it not get, like, really strong? Like, how 3 hours. How long do you
Well, that's
brew?
how long the podcasts are.
I know, but 3-hour tea is not good.
No. I have done that before, like accidentally, where I was like started
And drank
making
it.
a tea and then just forgot, and then been like, oh, there's a tea here that I made at some point. Well, I guess it's fine. I'll drink cold tea. It's not a problem.
Cold, insanely strong tea that's been steeping for 3 hours.
It doesn't get any stronger because after a certain point, like the water's not even moving, so it's not actually circulating the tea
Saturation
at all.
point. Yeah.
Well, no, and Zach, don't forget Zach's a milk first kind of guy, so I think you're limiting. Like, because, does the milk like pre-saturate a little bit? So, like, can you actually
Not really.
infuse more tea into milk, or less tea into milk sodden water?
I don't think so.
Sodden.
Milk first. I don't know how you judge the colour by putting milk first. You must have
Putting
to.
the same amount of milk in every time.
Do you measure it out or something? Because you can see. Because it doesn't take much milk to change the colour quite significantly, really, does it?
I don't know. He always uses the same mug when he comes here as much as possible. So like
He knows the
he
territory.
even knows the reference. And presumably, I guess depending if the bottles are roughly the same, then you just like have the same pouring action down,
Right.
like in the
So
same
you
way
know how
that
much milk you've poured. It's not that complicated.
in the same way that a bartender might know exactly how much a shot is. You know, if they do it enough.
I suppose. But in Britain, they actually have to measure the shots.
They do, yeah. They can't be fancy bartenders in Britain, really.
Well, they can be fancy up to a point. It's just
Up
at
to
a certain
point,
point
yeah.
there has to be measurement happening.
They have to play it safe. They could be under a shot, I suppose. They'd probably be allowed that as long as it's like, oh yeah, I always underestimate my.
No, that's not allowed
that's
because you're cheating people out of their money.
Well,
that's the idea.
Like that's what you need to do. Is like you need to develop new fancy techniques that include the measuring part. It's not just like pouring from two heights or
that's
anything.
true.
You need to be like pouring very precisely into measuring cylinders or something.
I guess
Yeah, like those optics that you get on top of the bar, they could incorporate that into something that you swish around, right? Surely.
Well, I think those caps are actually kind of smart in that they will just stop pouring, don't they? Like if you, I mean that's the idea, right? You don't just measure them out in a shot and stick them in something, but some
It's
of
like
them
an
actually
airlock,
just stop
isn't it?
themselves.
Like you
that,
open
yeah.
an inner valve and then it fills up the precise measurement, and you close that and open the outer valve and it just drains that out.
I guess.
In the
But-
optics,
that's how
right?
optics work. Yeah, but I mean, like actually on the top of bottles,
Well,
like
that's
those
just
little
an attachment that works the same, probably.
maybe, yeah, but like just based on tipping. I think those exist, but then
some kind of like flow measurement, I'm sure.
But then- then
fancy.
I suppose you're right. You could be fancy and like just have shot glasses to hand, like in your cocktail artistry, and just make filling those the
fun
thing.
part.
Just,
Well, people use those little metal
measured.
ones, don't they? Those little measure things.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you'd have to incorporate it in your routine, but you can't then just get all the bottles in like multiple hands and be like, "Way!"
Yeah.
Which I think is a key part of the art. You got to have the way moment.
The way part of it is very important.
I suppose unless you do that with the mixers and the juices and
Pour
stuff like
everything
that.
apart from the alcohol
Yeah.
like that, and then just at the end be like, here's a shot glass.
The colourful parts, yeah. And then you just spit an umbrella onto it.
Thing is, some cocktails are like 4 different spirits. You can't, and then a little dash of something to like top it up. Like you can't really, I don't know. There's not enough stuff there to be flamboyant with if you're going to actually measure everything, unless you have these devices, which I'm not sure exist, but I'm willing to entertain the possibility that there's some kind of mobile optic that will work. That, I mean, makes sense to me. Why not?
I could have sworn they exist, but maybe they're just not very used. I don't know. Could have sworn I saw it years ago. Yeah, don't know. Could be talking out of my jacksie.
Well, when I'm at a cocktail bar,
do.
I definitely am not paying enough attention to that. I should probably...
No, definitely not. No,
I'm like, it's happy hour, get two. And
it's because they don't have the ability to be fancy, so there's nothing to pay attention to.
Sometimes I've been to somewhere people try and do some fancy stuff.
Yeah. I've seen bottle swizzling. They throw it over their back and catch it, and I've seen bottle swizzling where they failed miserably and it's gone kaspoosh.
Oh, I haven't seen that for a while. That must be expensive. I guess it's all covered though, isn't it? But still, they probably take it out of your pay.
Yeah, probably. It's still like, hey, I'm not getting paid tonight. I just blew a £30 bottle of Bloom or something. Bloom's a gin.
Okay. Other gins are available.
I just knew the price of that gin.
You just happen to know that one. It's not Gordon's. It's not. I don't know. Bombay Sapphire. London Beefeater.
London Dry gin.
London Dry. I don't know what makes it London.
Are they? What are they? I'm pretty sure every gin that I've ever heard of is a London Dry. I don't actually know if there are other gins.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't know what that means, but it does seem to be on every gin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can't we have a Scarborough wet?
Yeah, exactly.
Slough wet.
That sounds disgusting.
Anything with slough in it. Like a slough sandwich. You don't want a slough sandwich.
That place, I've only really been there once, and it lived up to its name. Oh, yeah. Because I was in a hotel there because...
Does slough have a meaning?
We were on, a family trip to Legoland, which is there, right? It's near Windsor, which is near Slough or whatever, right? So there was a reason to be there, but walking around there, it was this is exactly like what you imagine from The Office or whatever.
Right.
It's just a wasteland. Yeah.
Industrial buildings.
Yeah. Not even industrial. Just
crap offices.
Yeah, more like officey, yeah. And
slabs.
And the Slough trading estate. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Slough.
Well, there's definitely something in the name that sounds bad.
It does, yeah. It's not exactly an attractive name, is it?
Yeah. There's some places
Let me introduce you to my beautiful wife, Slough.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
That doesn't quite work. There's some places with not so attractive sounding names that turn out quite nice. Near me there's a really posh area. It's called Crouch End.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You just imagine a part of Peter Crouch.
I guess so. But yeah, it doesn't live up to its name in that fashion. But other places, yeah, the name fits.
Yeah. I suppose there aren't many towns that I'm trying to think of where my wifely similarly fits. It's not many town names sound very feminine.
Not many places where your wife fits. What towns?
No, as in that thing I said a second ago. It's let me introduce my wife, Slough. There aren't many actual town names that sound particularly feminine.
Yeah, well, it's not common to use place names unless you're frickin' Paris Hilton or whatever.
Well, I suppose French names probably work.
French names probably only work because you don't know what they actually mean in French.
Exactly. Exactly. This is my girlfriend, Elle à la piscine.
My wife, Calais.
Yeah, that kind of works.
I don't know.
Kind of works.
La Rochelle.
I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly. I don't think you'd want to be called Broadway, for instance.
Probably not. Broadway's a street name, though.
Sure. Well, yeah. I suppose there are plenty of manly names, aren't they? Winchester.
Winchester, is that a name?
That's already a surname.
It's a surname for sure. Yeah.
You could be Winchester.
Winchester. Oh dear.
Winchester Smythe the Third.
For some reason I thought of Archer there, and Sterling is his first name's Sterling, and that is a place name in Scotland, right?
Yeah, I think so. Strathclyde. There you go.
Right.
Well, actually, a lot of place names are just like something prefixed onto a dude's name, right? Like Winchester, or Strathclyde, or Aberdeen, or...
I've not made that connection.
No, there you go. There's a feminine one. The Ipswich. It's just not very...
London.
Yeah, London.
Oh, dear.
Slough and nothing, because no one...
Slough. Oh, dear.
Oh, boy. Well, that was meandering.
We have discussed that place names do not suit people names. Have you noticed how people names don't suit pet names? But sometimes they do, but mostly they don't.
Dakota. That's a name, isn't it? As
yes.
well as a place.
True, it's a state and a name, like Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good name, but...
Or the Douglas
I suppose it's
Dakota. No.
I suppose it's a little feminine. A little.
What criteria do you judge the femininity of the name, though?
It ends in an R. Dakota.
No, it doesn't. It ends in an A. I'm pretty sure.
No, but I mean R sound.
R sound.
Dakota.
Okay.
Dakota. Dakota. It's not Japanese.
Say it in a slightly Asian tinged accent.
Dakota.
Right, this is podcast. What have we been up to? Zeg.
San Francisco.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, how's your house?
Nothing. Nothing's happening.
No evolutions, no new... That's 2 weeks in a row we haven't got a new story out of you about your kitchen.
There's been, we've covered it.
Your kitchen is dumb.
I think we might have run out of material.
Now, so that's the main thing that's still continuing.
What, literally?
Well, that actually exactly not literally. It's like they leak all the time. That's the actual problem.
Okay.
Actually, I guess I mean like one tap. The trouble is that since we got that I explained before the problem with the bathroom tap, where because of the new situation with the new extent of our water pressure, where it's like it's impossible to get hot water without it blasting out of a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that tap's still there, and now the bath taps are like incredibly stiff, so you can barely turn them on. And then there's a tap in the downstairs bathroom that's constantly leaking, and it's like, someone really needs to do something about these taps. All of them, every tap in this house has some various problem that should be fixed, really.
We do have classic generic water pressure problem in this house. You know, it's a new build. It's like 5 years old or whatever, 6 years old now. And it's got like you turn a tap on downstairs and upstairs just ceases to function.
Yeah. I feel like...
Well, that's not a problem with the house necessarily. That's just like living in a town.
It's just poor design, surely. Like.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely aspects of your place that were just a bit shoddily
on the
done.
cheap.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah.
Especially the sewage pipes, etc. situation.
Well, yeah, but at least we didn't have to pay to get that sorted.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have happened at all.
They have been better since, and
yeah,
and the slightly wobbly flooring downstairs. It's not flat.
Yeah,
it's not flat. No, when we think a bit of the stairs is falling apart, but don't go upstairs.
Sure.
There's a step that wobbles quite a lot, and I don't know what they put underneath a stair in a staircase.
You're like, it's a cupboard. Just look in there.
Well, no, because weirdly with ours, it's like you got that cupboard, but then the lower part of the stairs, there's nothing under there, right? Because it's a tiny little cubby hole, and they just sort of board it up. So it's like, what's under there?
Well, nothing. That's what's under there.
Exactly, but like what's directly under the step? It's like, is there another bit of wood for you to land on should something does go dramatically wrong, or is it just like the right angled bit of wood, and it's that, and that's it?
Yep, don't know the answer.
I don't know.
Unless you can get behind that board, then you're not going to know.
Rip it apart, yeah. I'm not a staircasier. I don't know. House scraps. We got some. Sort of. Fulfilled. I'm surprisingly chipper, given that, like, 2 hours ago I was pretty much dead after running my 10k.
You did a 10k today?
I did do a 10k today.
Have you done 10k before, or...?
No!
Oh, shit. How did it go?
Very well, actually. Miles faster than I was expecting. So
nice.
It's good.
How fast?
I was going for, like, an hour 10, maybe, nice casual, and came in an hour 3, so...
Miles faster.
That's a whole 7 minutes.
Over it, that's what, like 10% essentially.
Yeah, 10% faster is quite a lot faster than you sort of expect. Like, especially when you're doing it for like a whole hour. It's
an hour of running. Jeez, sounds daunting.
It wasn't too bad. It was a totally flat course, so there's no hills to contend with. So it was an easy introduction to the 10.
Do you think is it definitely easier going at all flat and not? Well, if you have something, a course, or that you do laps of that goes up and down, where there's equal amount of up as down, obviously, because you end up the same place. Is that definitely harder than if it were flat?
Yes.
Right.
Because you definitely, to me anyway, because you definitely expend more energy on your going uphill.
Then you recover
coming back down. Yeah,
right. Okay.
I mean, there's definitely a skill to it, and some runners I know are very, very good climbers and don't really suffer from it. Like,
right.
Whereas I'm not. I suffer bad. It's like I can get up them, but like the energy cost is quite high.
Yeah.
So
and
then you just feel like crap for a really long time afterwards, and and feeling like crap generally means you run slow.
Right. Yeah.
So it wasn't bad. I had a nice sprint finish. I beat my target. I then proceeded to throw up 4 times.
Oh, really? That doesn't sound so good.
No, the ending of that race felt pretty bad.
Oh my god! Didn't you just want to stop in the last 10 minutes or something if you were going to throw up?
Well, no, because I didn't know. Like, and you sort of expended all my energy like on doing a quick finish. Just went through the end gate and picked up my medal, and then sort of immediately afterwards just thought, right, I'm going to sit down. And in the process of sitting down, you get that little tickle in the back of your throat, and it feels a little bit like hot fluid, and you're like, that's not supposed to be there. Maybe I can just swallow that down. It'll be fine.
Aww.
But I was luckily I'd sort of like was on my hands and knees at that point, and it's just like, okay, fine. There's no splash damage. It's good.
Well, yeah. Don't know what to say about that, really.
Unfortunately, like most of the club were all like, "Oh, that's a good thing. It shows you put in maximum effort. Well done, you." It's like, great, cheers. I don't feel so good about it right now.
Oh dear. So you're gonna keep doing 10Ks then, or what's the plan? What do you usually do? 5K?
Well, my weekly 5s,
weekly 5s. Wow.
And stick to and a little bit more at training, but then push it up to a few more races, I think, and then slightly trickier 10 next. But I research. I don't do many races, but I plan which ones I'm going to do. Although I didn't plan at all the last one, and it was a nightmare. Super hilly 5 miler.
5 miles. That's close. How far is that?
That's like 8K.
Yeah, that's closer to 10K than 5K, isn't it?
Yeah. That was the last sort of race I did. My first race, in fact. So it was a hilly 5.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what's hard after finishing a race like that?
What's that?
Everything.
Did you drive home or like?
No, I had no mum on duty. Yeah.
Okay. And then you like collapsed.
I've basically not been moving too. Like the last hour or so, setting up for the podcast has been the most active I've been all day.
Do you not like recover like relatively? Yeah, I don't know. But now you feel fine, right?
Yeah, I'm all right now. But you stiffen up real badly. Like you just don't want to move.
Yeah. Do you walk far, like the instant you finish running, how far do you walk for before you stop, or do you just collapse?
Well, I just sort of collapsed today.
Okay.
Like you should probably walk it off, but I had nothing left. I just had to fall.
Right, fair enough.
And lose a few pounds.
Well, that's part of the reason, I guess, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't think in that fashion is generally why you do it. It's just I'm going to lose weight by running, by causing it to puke up everything that I had in the last 2 days.
I mean, it's not like you're fat at all, but like, if you lose weight from doing it, does it make it easier because you're not hauling around all the?
Well, presumably, yeah. If you're less jiggly, surely there's
got to be better, right?
I guess, yeah. But then, there are definitely people bigger than me that are faster than me, so they can do it too. But yeah, I can't help but think it must be easier. What
about how high you are? Like, is Jay tall? Does that help him? Do you think? Or
I don't know when it comes to distance running, but if you're if you're generally fast, I think tall people just naturally faster.
I guess so.
The gait that I would normally have is just, if I was another 2 foot taller or something, that'd probably be another 20% of speed or something. I don't know. I don't know how it works out, but I'm sure it helps.
Yeah.
But then you're probably burning more energy, so I don't know.
Zeg, you need to get in on this. You're tall and not fat. You could probably run really fast.
Yeah, you probably are quite a natural runner, actually.
Yeah, but I don't need to. That's the point.
What do you mean you don't need to?
Because I'm not fat. And Rob was slightly.
But that's not why Rob. That's not why you're running, is it? Well, maybe it's why you started.
I think, there's a little bit to that because it was like I started a few months before I got married, right? And it was just I got to
get nice and ready.
I've got to get a little bit of this chin out of the way.
Right. But I get the feeling that's not why you're doing it anymore.
No, definitely not. No, it's like I'm married now. I've got nothing to live for.
Well, now you have to
maintain. Bro, you got to maintain. Is that right?
I'm going insane. But
No, you want to beat your PBs. It's all about the PBs now.
The hook does get you, but I wouldn't say. I still wouldn't say I sort of naturally enjoy it. Right. Every time someone has a conversation about that, and it's like, well, I was talking to someone on Tuesday, and it's like, I actually started enjoying it, and I'm just like, something's gone wrong.
Right.
Get out my car. I'm leaving you here. You can run home.
Okay.
Well, that's my problem with whenever I'm going on walks or anything. It's like I quite like walking around and nature and shit, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best things about living in the countryside.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best tagline I've ever heard from
nature
the
countryside.
And shit.
Yeah.
But the trouble is that,
word.
If you're starting from the same place every time, you see everything in the vicinity. And then it's just like, well, this isn't actually interesting any longer.
I've seen that blade of grass. Hi there, Gatefly. How are you doing? I've seen you before.
What are you saying? Sorry. You're saying that you've seen it all before?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you think that there's a lot of countryside in the vicinity in terms of square mileage, but there's not actually very many places you can actually legally go. There's a very limited number of routes that actually create a loop so you can get back to where you started.
Yeah, I guess unless you travel out to somewhere to start and then do a walk.
Yeah, exactly.
See, if you ran, you could get further. My dad used to run from where you are to Stowmarket Station, pretty much, and back.
Wow.
I think he used to run that. Wow, far. It's quite far, isn't it? He did used to run that.
That's quite far.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did do that.
Before, but...
How far is that? It's miles, right?
Yeah.
He did half marathons, but he never did a marathon or anything.
That's got to be at least 10 to the station and back.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway,
I had to walk that one day when my car was broken and I had to go into Stowmarket for a thing. It was like, well, I guess I'll just get up at 6 and just walk all along the river. It was like, well, that was a very long walk. It's longer than you think. That's the trouble. Because if you imagine it, you're like, oh, it's just
It's quite
when
far.
You're driving over there, it's just like, it's just down the road.
No.
Although then again, following the river also just naturally makes it longer because of wiggliness.
Can you actually follow the river? I'm sure we tried that once and got stuck. Like, actually on the river.
You can follow the river.
Is there a path all the way to Stowmarket?
Yeah, it's like a national footpath or something, isn't it?
Is it?
The Giffing, part of the
Giffing way.
Post-Giffing, I guess.
Right.
The upper end of it.
Yeah. So you're in the perfect place for, like, training to run and stuff. Like, Rob hasn't got anywhere to run around near him. He has to drive, basically, to the park. Whereas, isn't that right? Do you ever go for a run?
Well, I mean, I used to.
Claydon and stuff?
I haven't done a great deal since I've been park running this year.
Rob
I used to run during the week. Like, there's a little 3 mile. No, was it? Yeah, it's 2 mile route if I go to Bramford and back.
Yeah,
sorry, to Sprott. Yeah, it's actually in either direction. It's 2 miles to Bramford and 2 miles to Sprott, and I think it's a 5 miler if you do the whole thing.
At least right on the edge of town. It's not like he's in the middle, so
I guess
can
it's
go
not as
out
good as you
into the
though.
countryside. I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
So it's apparently it's okay. It's not as far as I thought. It's 4 miles from centre of Needham to Stowmarket Station.
Yeah. So 8 miles is like so that's over 10k to run there and back, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Doable.
Yeah, that's about.
I think he actually went to the
12K,
traffic lights
like
at the top of the road. Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Not bad. That's not too shabby.
Well, I thought I'd better give it a try anyway, but I'm not going to do the park run thing. Yeah, why not? Fuck it. I did 3.6 kilometers today. Wow. Check me out. And it wasn't as bad as I thought. I'm doing the stupid couch to 5k thing, that trains you up.
Yeah. Get good trainers.
So today,
number 1 tip, get good trainers.
Oh, I already had them. I bought them.
Great.
I bought them like years ago and never used them. And it's really funny because I don't know if I said, but I've got like bow legs a little bit. Like I went to the
Rickets.
Yeah. What's the name of the stupid doctor for feet? Podiatrists. Yep.
Something like that. Yeah, podiatrist.
Don't mix out with pediatrician because that's
I really wanted to say that.
Yeah, I did
but
that
it's not.
in front of the doctor, which was stupid. Anyway, ped for feet. Anyway, that was a while ago, and she gave me like insoles, and then said I'll get an X-ray just in case, and then never booked the X-ray. That never happened. But anyway, I wear the insoles or whatever. But now I went back when I started the running thing just to give it a try. I got out the old running shoes. So I say old, new running shoes that I never used, and I bought them from this shop in Run and Become, it's called, in that my dad used to go to, and she made me run up and down, and to try on a whole bunch of pairs. And now I realise that they're obviously made. She could tell at the time that I probably had this bow leg problem. Didn't say what it was, but I clearly had got some weird ass shape shoes, so I don't need to wear insoles while running in those because they're the right shoes, and they always were the right shoes. I just didn't know. Anyway. Story.
I forget what they call it. A lot of people have some form of what is it? Is it pronate and prenate?
Yeah,
when
that's
your
right.
Feet, your
it's
feet
exactly
angle
that.
In and out.
Yeah, it's exactly
it's
that.
Like, I think there's one direction that's common and one direction that isn't, and maybe you're the isn't.
I don't know. I think I might be the common one, but I'm not sure. What's the? Yeah. Yeah, because when the doctor said it, it reminded me of the character from Game of Thrones. His name I've forgotten now. The one, Varys. Right. It was something. It sounded something like Varys, and it just means like, goes in or whatever.
Okay.
But Varys in Game of Thrones, if you don't know, is a eunuch. So he was like, "Oh, you've got Varys deformity." I'm like, I don't think. Hopefully not. Not like that.
No.
Yeah.
Cool, it's good, man.
So give it a try. So today was like first time running 5 minutes without stopping, which was
nice.
Fine. Yeah. And I go round and round the park, which is slightly hilly. So although not that bad, but like it's annoying when you're doing this stupid course where you basically the way it works, Zeg, etc., or listeners, is you run for a period of time and then walk for a period of time until such time that you can actually run without stopping for a long period.
Effectively interval training.
Interval training, yeah.
It tries to get your recovery up.
Exactly, which is exactly what you need. Because otherwise you're like gasping for breath and stuff. It's not good. But of course, if you're on a little sort of circuit that goes up and down, then depending on the week and depending on the program at the time, you can get really unlucky where you're walking down all the hills and running up all the hills.
Yeah,
which is really annoying. Yeah. Anyway, never mind. So I'm doing that, but I'm a bit skeptical about what's going to happen when it gets cold. What I'm going to do and whether I'm going to give up.
It's not too bad. You just get, because it's always worse before you start when it's cold. Like, I don't know, you probably need some thin, or like just something over your hands, and maybe a hat, maybe, depending on how thick your hair is at the time, and a long sleeve shirt, like still like a t-shirt, but just a long sleeved one.
I've got that actually. I bought that back at the time, so I've got that. So I probably need the some kind of hat type thing and glove. I'm
not the best person to ask because I'm fairly cold resistant, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, right, you're okay. But, okay. But it does get really, you forget, but sometimes it does get really cold, doesn't it? You can't, when
it was chucking it down with rain this morning, and everyone was sort of shivering on the start line, and then it sort of...
but it's not January, is it? You know what I mean? No, I don't know. Although we had a really mild winter last year, so maybe it'll be the same. But I'm just a bit worried that, I don't know. Anyway, perhaps I'm prematurely concerned.
If you're running far enough, it shouldn't be a problem because you'll just warm up from the inside.
Well, at that point, I should be able to run without stopping, and then it'll be easier. So
definitely getting the park run though. There is something about doing it in a crowd.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll have to see if I can be asked to.
I mean, it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, which I know is tricky for you, but it's just. But it does G you on more than just doing it yourself, because I'm bad at doing it on my own. Like as it turned out, it's like my willpower just is what holds me back.
Right.
And it's.
I think I'm not that. I think I'm better with my own willpower and more worried about, not worried about, but just. Because it would be a whole social thing where I'd have to meet people and stuff. I can't be bothered right now.
Maybe you don't have to. just turn up, get your barcode, do your run, get your time, get out. You don't have to.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we'll see. It's quite handy having Finsbury Park right on the border. I figured out that so it makes you walk for 5 minutes before you start running, which makes sense. Yeah. But 5 minutes is exactly the amount of time it takes to get from my door to the park. So it works out really well. Yeah. Anyway, nice. The main thing that made me start, I have to admit, as with everything, I swear, is some kind of technological thing. Like you've got your band thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I got mine well after starting. Like this was a recent addition in theory, but
I mean, it's like I always said, I don't think I'd be into music if it wasn't for MP3s and computers, because I'd never have bought all those CDs and stuff. I don't think. Can you imagine? If I'd grown up in the 80s or whatever, or the 90s rather than the... You wouldn't have been a vinyl kid. I don't think... Maybe there'd be nothing else to do, but I'm not much of a collector. You know what I mean? Of stuff, but maybe I would have been. I guess I would have been more into it because I wouldn't have had computers to distract me. But if computers hadn't... or the internet hadn't, hadn't kind of grabbed music... I don't think I'd be as into music. And I think there's always some kind of, the moment that technology connects with something, then I'll be more into it. It's quite embarrassing, but it's actually sort of true of, I read more books now. I've got my Kindle just because it's electronic than I did before, stuff like that. So, I got those Bose headphones for work and they were Bluetooth, and I was like, these are actually... I always thought that those wireless Bluetooth things were really awkward, or the ones I tried before, but they actually work totally fine now. And they've obviously, I don't know what happened with Bluetooth audio and stuff. It used to not be good, right, or something, but now it seems, I don't know if they figured something else out with the standard or something, but it sounds perfectly great. I don't know.
It's been good for a while.
Yeah. And you had it in your car and everything, so you're aware of all this.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I am using Bluetooth in the car. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, so all this stuff has suddenly. Well, it's been working for a while, and I hadn't noticed. And I'm like, okay. So after that success, I got some wireless headphones, in-ear ones for they're specifically for exercise. Or meant for exercise, and that's it really. Because that means I think when I tried to do it before, I had my old iPhone and I had one of those ridiculous armband things.
Oh yeah.
And then I had it was really awkward to get on and get my phone into it. And then I had to, clip the headphones into it, and then the wire was like flopping around as I was trying to run, and it was total pain in the ass. Now it's really easy because you just put the phone with the music and the app that does the Couch to 5K and tells you when to start and stop and tracks it via GPS, etc., etc. You just shove that in a belt, and then the earphones are totally hands-free or whatever, separate. And that's it, basically. That works. So there you go.
Nice. So you've got like earbuds, is what you're saying? Or
earbuds, in-ear buds. But
no wires?
Well, there's a wire between them, but that's it. So it goes behind. Oh, okay. So you can set it up different ways, but I've got it just resting on the back of my neck. You can change the length of it.
That's sensible because I guess you like the earbuds. I worry about losing them. Where if they're like tethered to at least in some way. Yeah.
Well, they're connected to each other, and then they also come with. So they're called Jaybird X2 or something. They have foam tips. You can change them for silicone ones, but they have foam ones and they're like waterproof and sweatproof or whatever with a guarantee. And they have these little wing things. You've probably seen them, little silicone wings that like go into the shape of your ear to stop them from falling out.
Oh, cool.
And they come in different sizes as well. So they're kind of cool. So they don't fall out, which is good. And they have on the wire between them on one side, they've got the thing so you can change the volume, and you can even take calls and stuff. It's got a microphone and stuff.
Nice.
So they're pretty good.
Do they stay further enough into your ear? Because my problem with earbuds is I don't know. After a while, they just sort of
pop out.
They don't fall out, but they haven't got as nicely seated as you would like.
Yeah.
And that basically results in bass loss.
Well, yes. So the bass, I don't think is that good. Like that doesn't deter me from the running. But I don't use them as everyday headphones. I actually keep my wired, just normal Sony ones for now until I get an iPhone where they don't work anymore, which I'm not going to get this year.
No, I'm still bitter. Not that I use iPhones, but it's just god.
I can see with all this wireless stuff, like I can actually see where they're going, and it does make sense ultimately. But right now, it's not good for the consumer. I don't think.
No.
And also, I don't think the rest of that iPhone seems that big an upgrade or that great.
No, I don't think it's.
The battery life isn't much better apparently. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it doesn't strike me as a meaningful upgrade.
No, it doesn't seem like much has changed. I don't think much will change for a few years. I can't, unless...
It hasn't really changed.
No, things have really settled down. And I don't care how good the camera gets, because I don't really use the camera.
I quite like that, because that's one of the... I love the fact that the camera on my Lumia is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It's very good at dealing with light conditions.
It's good. The phablet-sized one is got the most cool stuff in the new iPhone, because it's got two cameras on. Have you seen that? So it's got like a telephoto lens on one and a normal lens on the other one, and then it composites them in order to do depth of field effects and stuff.
Oh wow!
Which is pretty clever. Yeah, but that's only on the bigger one.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool, and it also has a really cool mode that kind of half fakes the kind of bokeh effect from a really good camera.
Sure,
so, yeah. Because it can sense depth using those two cameras and the difference between their lenses. And then it can, if you put it in a certain mode on the photo app, it'll pick out a face or something in the foreground, and then it knows what's in the background, so it can apply a software blur to that and give you a fake effect that actually works and looks really good. That effect where the background is blurred.
Yeah. And the lights turn into circles or
exactly. Yeah, I mean it looks
or
really
hexagons
nice.
in some cases.
Yeah,
on
totally.
certain cameras. Yeah, no, that's cool. I like. Is that actually how you say it? Bokeh.
I don't know how to say it.
I've always thought it was that, but
I have no idea. I think I'm probably wrong, but
bokeh. Was it Bokeh?
Well, how is it? Bokeh, something like that?
Yeah.
No idea. Anyway.
Bokeh.
Anyway, yes, technology getting me into to actually do stuff.
Speaking of collections,
1999.
Late segue.
Yes.
I recently
music /
have been
films / games
through large collections of boxes that have now dumped in my kitchen, or sort of the kitchen dining area, that sort of hallway segment of my house.
Yeah.
There's now several boxes filled with old PC big box games.
Right. Now I keep mine.
Okay, that was going to be my question. Is like
that is my collection.
I mean, I'm so torn about it because a bit of me is like, I'm on a real. Well, I say this is by my standards. I'm on a bit of a stuff purge. Like,
yeah, and they are huge and pointless. I get what you're saying.
You're not on a stuff purge. You're on a getting stuff from your mum, and then you have to get rid of that stuff.
Yeah, that's part of it. The problem is it sort of coincides with upstairs in my office right now. There's a hell of a lot of boxes and bits of old PC hanging about as I slowly dismantle and put stuff on eBay. In the vein, because I'm off the frame of I hate just throwing things out. I really hate that, and it's like, especially when things are in seemingly good condition, despite their worthlessness. Like, I'm selling my old GTX 275. I don't think anyone should buy that card.
Right?
But,
yeah.
I'm going to sell my beef sold equipment, like for someone who who has the time and effort to put together an XP build. For reals, I guess. There are people out there that might want to do that. The kit still works. It's just, I can't quite bring myself to just chuck it in the e-skip or whatever at the dump.
Yeah.
And be done with it. I've got to try this first. And that extends to all kinds of stuff. Like, they've got Xbox Live starter kit demo discs that I might try and get rid of because someone might want to demo derby them. Do a stream online about that. Here's an Outrun demo.
I mean, there's a difference between you might as well. I mean, I can't be bothered because I'm not organised enough. But if you might as well put anything you can on eBay and see if anyone wants it. But there's a difference between that and actually keeping it. I mean, this is my problem. This is where this is where the big box stuff comes into play because I'm not 100%. There's quite a bit that I do actually want to keep because they are meaningful games to me. Yeah. Like Quake 1, Quake 2, Red Alert. Yeah,
nice boxes.
I like my
right?
Red Alert box. Yeah. And
to a lesser extent, Jazz Jack Rabbit 2 and Death Rally. I've
got the Grim Fandango big box, and I don't think many people bought that game when it came out.
Oh no, those can be fairly rare. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Day of the Tentacle ones are quite sought after.
Right. Definitely don't have that. But yeah,
that's what led me to research it. It's like actually, in some respect, are the boxes of much value?
I've got the Deus Ex box.
Turns out they're not unless you have all of the original stuff, like the jewel cases and stuff. And the jewel cases are long gone, by the way. These are primarily just the boxes. I have most of the discs for these still, but it's just the boxes primarily.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Manual or I've got the Half-Life manual
in most cases. Yeah. So this is the thing, like some of these aren't mine, and some of these were games that Kippers bought.
Right.
But in those cases, I don't have a nostalgic attachment to them, and Kippers has already said he doesn't care about them.
Well, I probably chucked ones I didn't care about, but
yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not quite. There's things like this. There's a box of Half-Life Generation, which is like, in some respect, it's like, you know what? That should be a cool box, but because it's the Generation Edition, it's just covered in blurb saying like this is the best game ever, and includes Counter-Strike, and it's that would be great.
Box. Yeah,
those would be great because there's very little on them. With the Blue Shift box, which Kippers also has, is actually way better because it's just basically blue.
Yeah,
and it has a bit of blurb saying, "Hey, expansion for like the best game of all time" or something on it.
Yeah.
But it's way less crap in the way. And it's so that one might be a keeper, but then there's like other games like Delta Force that's like
just keep the good ones.
Or the Diablo 3 Blizzard's original. No, sorry, Diablo 1 Blizzard's original box, as in not the original box, but the one they not the original, but the one they put in like a Nintendo. You know when Nintendo do like special editions, like Nintendo Selects
Yeah.
Or the N choice or player's choice, was it at one point? And they put that crappy border around it and like totally ruin everything about the box. It's one of those.
I'm just trying to think which ones I've got. I've got an original Grand Theft Auto box.
Well, I've got a GTA 2 box.
Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure I bought that from HMV in Ipswich, even though it had a huge 18 thing, like BBFC thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I picked up my copy of GTA 2 somewhat dodgily, like way too young.
I don't think they knew or were paying attention.
I don't think it really was, because I remember when I picked up Quake and that had a 15 on it, and I definitely wasn't 15, but I was with my mum when she said okay.
Right.
And I think that made the difference. But
I think with me, it was like I bought GTA and no one paid attention. It was an 18. And then years later, I bought Quake 3 and it had an EULA, or it had a, what's the stupid other rating? Peggy. It had a Peggy 15 rating, and I actually was 15 and they wouldn't sell it to me. That was in the Electronics Boutique at Ipswich. And it was like, for fuck's sake, I didn't have ID or for some reason or whatever. Anyway.
They must. Well, no one had ID. Really.
But that one didn't even have a BBFC rating on it. I don't think Quake 3. Don't think so.
Yeah, it was tricky. Yeah. So okay.
Anyway,
that's reassuring. I probably will keep that box then. So I was just a little bit torn about because no one obviously doesn't want me to keep it.
I mean, they are huge.
They are massive. Yeah.
And but I think the older they are, the kind of the more sentimental value they have there.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun going through the box, and it's like, shit, yeah, Hyperblade.
Well, that'd be better if you just get the game.
Well, I've got that as well. I have got the disc as well, but like, it's just
is that working?
Yeah,
that's the actual problem.
Yeah, that was always the problem though.
Because it was naturally it was one of those type of games where it's just like, what engine is this even running on? Who fucking knows?
That was in the days when people actually just wrote
their own engines.
Yeah, wrote them for every game. Pretty much.
Got a Dungeon Keeper box, I'm sure.
I've got a DK box, yeah. I've got one of those.
I've got shit boxes. Someone threw out my boxes.
No!
I at least have manuals. And I have awesome manuals. Even though the box for Hostile Waters was the best, and was also the biggest fucking box I've ever seen. It was gigantic! Way bigger than all the other ones.
Although I did have Lynx LS, which was like a double length box for some reason.
That's a special case.
Yeah, anyway.
The biggest box I have is for Lego Creator.
I'm sure.
I do actually have the jewel case for that and the disc still, because the jewel case had little Lego studs down the spine. It's kind of cool.
But then the Hostile Waters manuals at least are still cool. Well, there's a manual and there's like the story, like the backstory blurb book.
Yeah.
And then like printed on really shiny paper, which makes them.
Is it classic sort of manual paper, or is it nice paper?
No, I think it's nicer than manual paper, and the cover and back are like super shiny, like weirdly shiny, almost plastic looking.
So I've got some but
they're not the only manual that matters. Naturally, is fucking Alpha Centauri.
Right.
Where it's just like a fucking book because it's got the entire like fake science of the entire planet in there in the back. Where it's like, here's how the ecology works on this planet we made up.
See, I don't think any of the ones I've got have anything that in depth in them. They're not very manual friendly games. What I did, so I've got a load of the Amiga boxes as well. I'm also considering keeping. Which some of those are probably more questionable. Like body blows.
I don't think I ever had any Atari boxes because my Atari shit all just came out of a car boot sale. It was like, here's a box of everything. They're not individually wrapped in any way.
Right. Because I have got there's an original what was it, Frontier Elite box in there for Amiga, Worms for Amiga, SimCity. I've got some of those classics hanging about. The one I'm really glad I've still got hold of is a little known game called Pioneer Plague, because it's not the best game in the world, but it's kind of an example of like an early, a bit like a roguelike in some ways, like in that you start on a planet and the idea was you had to basically blow up these green rockets that spawned on these giant city maps as quick as you can, and the quicker you did it, the less it would spread to planets nearby. And and then you had to fly out to those other planets and neutralize it there. And it's basically like you could in theory you could win by neutralizing it everywhere, but I don't think it's possible. It just spreads too quick. But the thing is that game relied on you having physical stuff that came in the box. There were these star maps. So in order to travel from planet to planet, you had to play a mini game before starting the warp procedure. And the idea is that it would, before you warped, it would say, right, you need star map A with overlay 4. Or something, and you'd put this overlay on top of it, and what it would do is it would create a little dot map on the bottom of it. The size of these things was entirely pointless, because all you really needed was this little set of dots and spaces that formed a sequence at the bottom of the page, and it would then go, right, press go when you're ready, and you hit go, and what it does is it shows a subset of that sequence on screen, and you have to tell it where that subset starts. If you get that wrong, you'll probably end up somewhere you don't expect. Like, you'll end up on a planet that might not be infected, for instance, and you'd have wasted your time.
Right,
and
okay.
Stuff like that. And I loved that. Yeah. It just that small element of physicality, like, was awesome.
But, you know, it's secretly just DRM, essentially.
Yeah, actually, yeah. It is DRM. But it's DRM weaved into the game in an awesome way. Like, I think SimCity's DRM was like they basically in the box gave you what they called a high score sheet, which was like in theory like staff scores on the various in-game real-life city recreations.
Yeah, the scenarios.
But there was next to every high score there were two little symbols, and so the DRM for SimCity was, hey, look up the high score of this game. What are the two symbols there?
Well, it's like all those games had that, essentially. All the manual stuff.
Micro Machines didn't have something?
Oh, man, the Micro Machines one was like
what's
this track layout? Is it what page is this track layout on?
The Codemasters one's always had the shiny back of the manual, where it's like, it wasn't even just printed, it was like embossed or whatever on the back of the manual in the, like special reflective things so you couldn't photocopy it.
The track one.
The track one was Supercars.
Yeah, that's it.
And we had to hack that because we didn't actually have it, so we had to try an error and draw the actual circuits out ourselves so we could reference it later.
Reverse engineer.
Yeah. Didn't have the manual. That was a pain in the ass.
But it was worth it for Supercars.
Yeah, Supercars was a great game. Supercars 2.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Supercars was
2.
Still okay. Not as good as Supercars 2, though.
Your main sale. Okay, cool. So I will probably find a way of keeping all of those in because it's kind of cool.
The important thing is to find how many you can fit inside each other.
Not many, as it turns out.
Not
many, as it turns out. They're all kind of the same size. Like, and unless I flat pack them, which I kind of don't want to do.
Well, no.
Like, I think my copy of Sonic 3D has already been flat packed. Like, because it was basically just a crappy cardboard box. There really wasn't anything to it, and the sort of middle bit is missing. So it's just the sheath, I guess. Whereas, you know, you got some like Sega Rally, which was in like a somewhat ornate, like sort of sculpted it had 3D elements to it. Like, it was sort of cut away where the car graphics were and things like that. And it's like, there's no way I'm flat packing that. It might fit inside Animal. Thinking about it, Animal's in a pretty big box, as is Jazz Jackrabbit 2 for some reason. Those are pretty big boxes. Yeah, you could probably cut down space, but they're in a massive friggin' box right now where I've got tons of space to spare, so it's just more stuff to go in the loft.
I wonder how much when did it happen that people decided
when DVDs got popular?
Well, yeah, but like to a certain extent, there must be a money balance between like paying for extra shelf space versus the extra advertising you get from having a giant box.
Oh yeah,
it's like what was that? Just a coincidental transition with the DVD cases being convenient, or was it actually like a money behind the scenes thing where everyone was like, we don't want to pay for all this extra shelf space, but now everyone's using these standard boxes, so it doesn't matter.
It's not like when the big boxes were the thing, like the sections were very big anyway. There was like a small part. If anything, there's more. I mean, there's definitely bigger section of a shop like that dedicated to games now than there was then.
Well, yeah, but even so,
and the boxes are smaller.
I guess it was just caused by consoles, right? Because console boxes were never
very
big.
I suppose.
They were never very big, and the PS1 changed all that by just shipping in those cases. They always shipped
the kind of
those
really
fat jewel
cases. Yeah, they were cool. I like those fat jewel cases.
And it was like from that moment on, boxes got smaller. Although the PC stuck with it for a while.
That's why, because the PC was the one that was actually doing that.
Yeah, the PC.
Most consoles were standardised from the start.
Yeah, the PC stuck with it for a while, but the advent of the standard DVD case, whoever standardised that.
Well, they were putting those inside actual boxes for a while.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Not that much. I remember Max Payne just coming in a DVD case and being like, okay. This makes sense.
It was a bit of a sour moment. A little bit disappointing, wasn't it, when everything started coming in DVD cases? I kind of enjoyed the big box thing.
Well, and it's become like a problem again now when they're trying to sell like statuettes and shit for the collector's editions. It's like those could have been built into a nice box in the past.
Yeah, the nice boxes that used to have a poster or something just in the box. Yeah. Right?
Thing is, it was awkward because like that was the exact time when not everyone had a DVD-ROM drive, so it was the time when everything came on like 50 CDs.
Like Colin McRae 4 is the one I have that actually has like 4 CDs.
Yeah, but that's in a DVD-shaped box, though.
Well, it's in a fat DVD-shaped box.
Exactly.
Like
that
a
was the only way.
Box, but it was still CDs.
Yeah, it was still CDs. But they still went down this sort of standardised route, at least. But...
Game boxes. I think we better talk about news because we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, no, sorry. We've talked about a lot of stuff. Thankfully, there isn't a great deal of interesting news going on.
No, not a lot going on.
If my notes will load, we'll be able to read them. I've just got a blank page. That's fantastic.
Okay. Well, let's see.
That's all the news. Blank.
Yep, the news is done, apparently. My phone has decided to done the news.
People are bitching about microtransactions in Counter-Strike. Have you seen this one?
Oh, pay to spray.
Pay to spray. You can't believe it. I mean, it doesn't. This seems ridiculous, right?
It's a bit. Well, here's the thing. I would like to say it sounds ridiculous, but Valve have kind of just been going this way potentially for a while. I guess this is the first time Valve have done a consumable like that goes away. I guess the sound makers in TF2 were that.
I guess. And like the dueling mini games.
But this is proper mental. So CS:GO has never implemented sprays from the start, and of course the community are all like, "Hey, where's my sprays, yo? Can we have them back, please?" So Valve have finally gone, "Yeah, you can have them back, but they're all a canned set, and you have to pay us money, and they'll only be able to be sprayed 50 times, and then you lose it again, and you'll have to pay us again." To which the community is obviously quite displeased. I
don't know why.
Well, here's the thing.
Why would they even care? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of sprays in Counter-Strike and Team Fortress wasn't to have a nicely designed spray. It was to have dumb memes from the internet. And if you can't import your own thing into it, then what's the fucking point?
Well, so there are numerous problems at the moment with it. One, yes, there's that. 2, this is the consumable problem. 3, they're actually exploitable really badly. So one of the reasons why you might want a set of canned, a fixed set, is to stop them from being sprayed in such a way that actually off-puts other players.
Oh, yeah.
So you create... Except they haven't done that. They've
just failed in their design.
Yeah, they've designed sprays that actually can be confused for other players or confused for things that other players may consider threats. And that's kind of breaking the game. Also, if you spray them on a window, they're only visible from one side. So you can use them as camouflage to totally conceal yourself and see through them. So, they haven't thought it through. It's poor. I guess it would be acceptable if it wasn't buggy and wasn't consumable. Then it's no different from Overwatch. It's no different from games that have been doing this before in this new monetized era. But competitive play, no one's made a move yet because it's just no one's actually made an official ruling. Although they have to just take it out.
Well, obviously, it's like that competitive shouldn't even have skins technically.
No,
the color of your gun could give you an advantage.
I guess. It's just one of those classic things that's just sort of getting ire from the community. It's why have we got this? There are serious bugs that need fixing in the game. Why have you not addressed those first, which of course can be explained by, hey, game development, multiple teams working on multiple different things.
That's what everyone says about everything ever.
But yeah, but of course, there are some, like, for the pros, there are some significant bugs every now and then that are a bit dumb. Like, guns can still be picked up through walls. Smokes will occasionally fail. It's
Smoke's occasionally failing. That's just like a realism option. It's like, this smoke grenade didn't go off correctly, so now if you were planning on using that, you're screwed.
I think it's more that the smoke effect will occasionally flicker or something like that. Like just graphics fails for something that's a crucial part of the game.
Well, smoke graphics was always a problem.
And they're still garbage. It's just a grey mass.
Well, it's meant to actually be 100% blocking your view, which is why it's a grey mass. But that was always the problem in the old Counter-Strike, where it's like graphics options would make it more or less transparent for certain players.
You could sort of contour it. Oh yeah, the old graphics option thing. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I guess you could sort of contour it, but yeah, no, it's just solid grey. Like it's a crap looking.
You might as well not even make it a smoke thing. You might as well just make it a flat polygon that just blocks the entire corridor and just make it that flat.
Yeah, like a sphere just turns up. Whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were
just because it's based on a smoke grenade, that's why it has to look like smoke. But in actual fact, all you actually want it to do is 100% block the view down a corridor.
Yeah.
Made a black hole grenade that just.
But they're games that go that explicit have never really fared that well, right? Games that
like Quake, where like you take out all the graphics and everyone plays it like that. You're a square jumping around and shooting some other squares.
I would say it's
a million frames a second.
Yeah, I would say that's massively successful in that form, but I don't know. I'm just thinking Shoot Mania, or that went explicitly, "Hey, we're a shooter. Screw realism."
Yeah, but they just did it badly. I don't think that was because the idea was inherently bad.
Maybe.
It's like what Minimum tried to do, where they were like, we're going to make a game that's more about the game and less about the graphics, but then again, they did it badly.
Minimum's not a terrible game.
Sure, but like they didn't do it well enough.
No, it couldn't compete in the space, that's for sure. But it's a neat idea. It just wasn't that well executed. Yeah. It's pretty dumb. It's pretty dumb.
Everyone knows the only legitimate way to use phrase is to spray porn on a wall, and then when someone starts to look at it, backstab them.
Yeah,
that's the only legitimate way.
What was it like? Not whatever the last CS we played was before CS Source probably didn't that and TF at one point didn't that have that mip mapping bug?
Well, it wasn't a bug. It was like a weird GIF problem where it's like the GIFs didn't animate at a distance or whatever. So if you made a one-frame GIF where the first frame was something and then the rest was blank, then
it would change to something else over a certain distance. Yeah. So you could have like an animation, like you'd look at something and it'd be like totally benign, and then you get close to it and it's like boobies.
Yep, exactly.
It's dumb.
Yep. What else is going on?
That's our Valve being dumb news for the day.
Okay.
I've got a correction.
Go on.
So we talked about Battlefield maps and do they matter?
Yeah.
Battlefield 3 only launched with 9.
Okay.
In total. So that's the same as what Battlefield 1 is launching with. How do you feel about that?
Well, again, we still don't know about how legitimately 9 the Battlefield 1 9 is.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. We still don't know. They did tell us some stuff on the Battlefield 1 front, what the single player is, and they're not going down the route of doing a single storyline campaign-y type thing. They're sort of going back to 1942's approach and being like, hey, we're making a set of mini stories, and each level is basically its own like little mini campaign.
Well,
yeah,
doing it like Call of Duty does it, just having separate
just jumping about
characters.
But there's no like continuity between them. Like,
well, apart from it being the whole story of World War One.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, you treat each one as a separate rather than like Call of Duty's. Hey, we're still advancing a plot. You're just a different guy every mission. Or
makes sense.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. That's probably the best way they could take it because 3 and 4's campaigns weren't very good, but. Yeah, so that's kind of okay.
Cool.
And I should have dug into this more, but I did just skim that fans have managed to revive Battlefield 2142.
Well, that would be nice.
So it's sort of playable again.
Oh, yeah.
It was already playable. like EA was still selling it and it still technically worked. It's just like no one was playing it, of course.
Oh, okay. I thought the servers were up or something dumb.
I
like
think
that,
it did get shut down recently, and that's why they've sorted it out.
Because I think there were a few games that are still on sale, like Battlefront, the original Battlefront 1 and 2. You can still buy off Steam, but there's no servers there. No one's running those. You've got to mod the game and run on like unofficial servers if you want to play that thing or set up a LAN. And you have to be quite careful with it. They do say in the Steam blurb, but you have got to go and read it to see that that's the case. So there's that. Quantum Break. Let's revisit this thing. They did say they were going to do it, but it turned out to be weirder than we thought. They've released Quantum Break on Steam now, so you're not just stuck to the Universal Windows platform version if you want it on PC. But here's the oddity. The Steam version runs on DX11, whereas the Universal Windows platform version runs on DX12. And the DX11 version runs about 10 to 20% better.
Yep, okay.
So Remedy have tried to explain themselves about this, and they basically came back and said, yeah, we're not really familiar with DX12. Like, we went back to what we knew and made something better.
Well, that's not that surprising.
It's
like no one's familiar with DX12 yet, really.
The problem is that it's a cop-out, because they've already said they're not going to patch the DX12 version of the game anymore. So they're not going to even try and make that version of the game that people have purchased like as good as the one they've just put out on Steam. And it's... I don't know.
I don't think that's their fault at all.
I think that's a bad look, man. That's just... DX12 is fine. There's nothing wrong with DX12. It's just the developer being crap at it.
Yeah, so what? Doesn't mean anything.
I don't know. I think they should have put their effort into actually learning what the new technology is and like making that better rather than putting out a whole different version. It's the one upshot from this that I see is that it shows that Microsoft Studios published productions can still come out on Steam.
Well, maybe.
But, I mean, that's going to be limited, but that backs up what Phil Spencer was saying about, like, hey, we still see Steam as important to the PC ecostructure. Ecostructure? What's the word I was looking for?
One of those two words that you mashed together.
Ecosystem?
Yeah. That'll do, yeah. Ecosystem. Yeah, so that happened. That's a bit weird. I don't think that looks good on Remedy. But and Remedy have come out and also said what they're working on next, sort of. And it's a multiplayer game. Which the fans of Remedy are now sort of sat there going, hey, what? You're not making a story-based game? But story-based games are what you're
good at.
It's kind of your thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Dodgy times for Remedy, maybe?
Well, we'll see. You never know.
I liked Quantum Break, and I would have liked to have seen them to stick with it, because I think they were onto something, but it needed refinement. Like, the gameplay just wasn't quite there.
Mm. I don't think the other part of it came off fully, though, did it? As Microsoft would have hoped. I don't know about Remedy. I think they probably did what they set out to do.
No, I mean, it probably doesn't tie out. But I mean, Remedy probably see it as a bit of a disappointment because obviously Microsoft backing out of TV before they even released the game. Yeah. And, them doing this cross-media thing could have perhaps have been bigger than the game, I guess, had things gone well. Mm. But I didn't think any of the TV stuff was bad. I think they made good with what they had.
Mm. It's just, it didn't, elevate either kind of, what do you call it, platform.
I think...
one didn't help the other. It was more yeah.
It's really interesting an idea. I think they perhaps shorten the episodes so they weren't like classic episodes, if you know what I mean. Make them out to be like little short cutscenes, like mini episodes or something that sort of progress other storylines that are going on outside of the game. But I guess you could equally achieve that stuff through like in-game cutscenes.
or even like webisodes or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. But it's interesting to have it like fed in that way, because it's like while you were doing this, all this was going on elsewhere. That's an interesting way of doing the storytelling.
Yeah, I mean that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, Amazon revealed some games that they're working on, having like said they were going to try and wade in with, I don't know, we don't really know how, but they bought Double Helix all those years ago, the original Killer Instinct developers. And they've announced 3 titles are coming our way, none of which sound that interesting.
What platforms are these?
I gotta be honest, I didn't really glean that information. They just said that, hey, we've got 3 games in the works. They looked pretty. They looked kind of pretty. So I don't know if they're planning to release them on Android, if that's what you mean, or tablets.
Yeah, I mean,
and by their description, they sound like, and by the description of them, they sound like games. So one of them, called New World, is basically a survival multiplayer game. Yawn. One of them's an arena shooter, which I don't know, might be interesting. Called Crucible, which means to me that's like, oh, you just took that straight out of Destiny.
Well, you just used a generic term for
but Destiny specifically calls its PvP the Crucible.
Snooker specifically calls its place for Crucible.
The one in Sheffield. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure Bungie would have been aware of the Crucible. And a sports-influenced MOBA called Breakaway. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, shrug, I guess.
The Amazon news I've seen is Twitch is part of Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? Wait, hang on, back that up. What? How?
If you have Amazon Prime, you now get, like, Twitch Prime, essentially.
Oh, I get it. Okay, right. Okay,
ad-free viewing and free monthly channel subscription.
So, the one that's actually quite relevant, because the one wrinkle that they mentioned about all of these games is that they are, because of their Twitch ownership, they are planning ways in which Twitch can influence those games. So, like, your viewers will have some way of interacting with it. I bet it's not quite as crazy as iDarb's hash bombs.
Well, probably similar.
But yeah, it'll probably be like a voting process where, you send specific messages and then that stuff eventually kicks in the game if there's enough traction.
Yeah, just pulls it out of the chat.
Or maybe like large numbers of viewers cause a crowd to build up in the MOBA. I don't know, like things like that. They're going to have some sort of level of Twitch interplay. Some crappy Overwatch news, I guess. Again, like, unfortunately, in terms of my efforts to get Zach into the game, no real map or hero news still, which is disappointing. But they are giving Symmetra a bit of an overhaul. Apparently she's the least used character. So they're trying to make her more flexible in more scenarios. And they've added a ton of new VO to the game. Or will be. So the players, the characters just say more varied stuff. Which I guess makes sense. That's, cool. Keeps it from going stale if the characters aren't repeating lines so much. Neversoft and Warner Brothers have finally made good on Mortal Kombat X for the PC. They finally patched it so it works online, specifically, as part of the upcoming XL edition. So, only over a year after release, they finally got around to fixing it.
It's a bit dumb that they called it XL.
I don't know, that's kind of great, isn't it? Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat XL.
Yes, but that also means 40, because they made Mortal Kombat X for 10. It's like, now we're at Mortal Kombat 40 suddenly.
Okay.
It's a Super Bowl logic, though.
Yeah.
They didn't want to have... Did you hear they've gone back to, like, LI or something for this year, or next year's? Like, they couldn't call it Super Bowl but they're happy with Super Bowly.
Okay.
Super Bowl.
It's because L was just like a single letter in it.
Yeah.
That's why it was done.
Super Bowl L. It would have been so good. Oh. Missed opportunity.
But it doesn't even make sense in Mortal Kombat XL anyway, because it's not really a bigger game.
It's got all the DLC.
Yeah, it's marginally bigger. I wouldn't call that an XL. Maybe an L.
They've got to get the X in there somewhere. What, X space L? You mean?
Right.
We'll just call it something dumb like Mortal Kombat Extreme with the X.
Mortal Kombat Alien Edition. Oh no, it's Predator this time, isn't it? Oh no, it's the Alien in this one. I can't remember. I think it might be the Alien. Yeah, not Predator. Let's crap through the rest of these. A few more. Gears of War 4 came out.
Apparently quite good.
Yeah, quite good. Like fairly mixed. In like I've read reviews that say the campaign is crap. I've said others saying the campaign is business as usual. Like as in doesn't really beat 1 to 3. Everyone seems to be ignoring Judgment, which is sensible.
But I thought, based on the E3 thing, that it would be rubbish, and
I still think it does kind of look kind of rubbish, but in the way that Gears always was.
I think
if you know what I mean, like
okay. I'm slightly, maybe it's Giant Bomb's coverage, but I'm slightly more positive on it, especially because you can play it on PC and shit.
So apparently the problems are that the for those that are critical of the campaign, that the actual set pieces aren't quite as imaginative as they have been in the past.
Okay.
Like sometimes falling back to too many turret sections. But where it does get interesting is when they merge the horde mode mechanics into campaign segments. So you're doing like a wave-based defense run in the middle of the campaign, but you actually get to build stuff using like horde mode style stuff, and flipping that into the campaign, actually, they said was smart, because horde mode apparently is really good this time, as long as you don't mind setting aside 2 hours to play it, like in an online session. But yeah, it's the best in terms of it's the best Universal Windows platform release thus far, in that it supposedly has been, and it's been giving the full PC game treatment, as in like the amount of scalability of this thing seems insane.
Well, it's
like
the Unreal Engine.
Yeah, the number of options there is ridiculous.
I think it makes sense.
And it has brilliant benchmarking. It has like and all that stuff. It's just someone.
And there aren't that many good shooters, goddammit, on the PC anymore. I feel like it might.
They're all consoleized, aren't they?
Might win by default in a way.
Well, here's the thing: like, does Gears play okay on a mouse and keyboard? I mean, that's a good question. People have done that, but I've never tried that. It is to me, it's a joypad game
because it's third person. That's why it seems weirder.
Well, Max Payne was okay with the third person with a.
But
mouse.
Equally, it has a lot of railgun style weapons, like for the multiplayer and stuff like that. You know, the torque bow and things like that. So I wonder if that will actually make it better, or maybe it just makes it worse because it will be a snipe fest or something.
I mean, there was definitely a feeling in Gears of War where, say, when you're doing the roadie run, you can't turn very fast. That would be really weird feeling with a mouse. Like, you restricted turning, like. It would be really strange. Wouldn't it? I don't know. Maybe it'd be fine.
Yeah. So apparently they've one of the bits they've added to the multiplayer. The multiplayer is mostly the same, like other than horde mode getting its new version. But they have added some simplistic perk system to it, which they didn't have before. So you can choose to have some special abilities, like being able to like the one that sounds awesome to me is like if you've got 2 players on either side of cover. There are now multiple, depending on the perk you pick, there are now multiple ways of dealing with that scenario. Instead of just each other like popping up, like trying to punch each other, like or just shooting each other casually over each side of a stupid bit of cover. You can. One of them is called Yank and Shank, which basically means you just reach over the cover and pull the guy to you and stab him on the way.
That shouldn't be a perk. That should just be a default melee option because it would solve that problem for everyone.
The reason why they've made that a perk is because the other choice is if you're charging at a bit of cover and you know there's a guy on the other side. Like, you could do it like a running jump over and take him down as opposed to having to get in cover and take him down approach. And it's like they made that a choice rather than you can always do that.
Yeah, you should have just had both. It would have been much better.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming there's a balance reason for it, but assuming. Or if they just wanted to, like, fold in perks just because, then maybe that's a bit crap. But, you know. Sounds like they're sort of doing it. But, yeah, business as usual, but not necessarily terrible business as usual. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm tempted or not. I mean, that sort of awkward middle ground.
Well, Steam sales.
Except it won't be Universal Windows platform.
Oh, unless it comes out on Steam, like we were saying.
Oh yeah, like 6 months later, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Oculus Touch controllers have got a price. It's £190, which makes the Rift set more expensive than Vive.
Okay.
Which sounds pretty dumb to me. That's a stupid decision. £190.
I mean, they're not doing that well, are they?
No.
Oculus. I don't know.
That's a stupid amount of money.
Did you see the thing the other day where they're strapping a little like smartphone computer onto the back of your head to give you somewhere in between, like a wireless experience that looked a bit better than these
weird
VR things?
What, using phone gyroscopes or something? Or?
No, it's just that it's a full-on it's an experiment, right? But it's a full-on Oculus where the computer is actually attached to your head or whatever. So obviously it can't be a beefy computer. It has to be some kind of, it's probably a NVIDIA Shield type thing. But that means you're not tethered, right? And it's a better experience than the ones where you literally strap a phone screen to your face.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
But not nearly as good an experience as actual wired, apart from the wire problem. Anyway, I don't know. It didn't seem that interesting. It's like, if they figured out how to do it wirelessly, which they're not going to do for a while, if ever, that would be amazing. But
just make that a ridiculous add-on for the NX. Just like the NX Virtual Boy attachment.
Yeah,
it just makes it into a headset.
Totally. But then how would you control it? I guess then.
Well, the controllers are detachable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Apparently,
that would be hilarious. I mean, that's not outside the realms of possibility, is it, Zeg? That's actually a genius.
Fairly outside the realms of possibility.
Yeah.
It's a Nintendo-like solution.
It's a thing that someone could hack to do, probably.
You never know. Nintendo might do that. Anyway, blah.
Oculus really need to just realize that they're not competing, or at least to me, it doesn't feel like they're competing.
Well, it doesn't feel like anyone's competing with anyone yet.
If they just drop their price to be to fit somewhere in the middle of PSVR, with the full PSVR kit, the Oculus kit, and then Vive kit, if they just slotted themselves in the middle, that sounds appropriate. But they're not. They're still trying to compete on Vive level when the Vive is superior.
The thing is, they can't loss lead it. Because not enough people will. It's not a console. Not enough people will buy it at this point.
No, but they've just put themselves They've just bought themselves a hole, though. Is the problem? They need to try and get they do have to loss lead. They do have to try and if you ask me, just try and save themselves. They do a complete company shift and focus on this mobile centric stuff. It's I really think they're in trouble.
I guess it doesn't matter. They're owned by Facebook, so they're not going down anytime soon. So
no, and it's still only phase 1 VR. Given everything that's been said, about PSVR is being officially reviewed now and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and everyone is saying
quite good.
Yeah, it surprisingly does, and everyone's there are things that Oculus and Vive can definitely learn from PSVR. Like the top one being, hey, they really designed the hell out of this headset so it's light and comfortable. You guys should pay attention to that.
Yeah, totally.
It's Oculus and Vive Phase 2, if they take away anything from PSVR, that is going to be a marked improvement. It's just... Do that, please. Do that.
Right.
Very quickly, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is officially in development now.
Well, as officially as it's ever been, really.
Well, they've actually come out and said, no, we're in pre-production now.
We're pretty sure they probably have said that previously.
They've said
more than once.
They've confirmed it 8 years ago once, saying, yeah, we're doing this, but they didn't go as far as to say, no, we're actually in pre-production. This is the first time those words have been spoken, and concept art has been released. And
they've made videos.
They've made trailers, and there's that one leaked concept video that they didn't put out themselves that got leaked. And no one even knows if that was ever legit or not. And
also, pre-production literally means nothing. That's just a bullshit marketing word. It's that might as well just be, we're thinking about it. Because that's what pre-production actually is.
It means
concepts.
They have... Yeah, exactly. But, that means they at least have a team on it full time, is what that actually means. Although, the one sort of mark against that is that, is it Michel or Michael Ansel, who's the director of Beyond Good and Evil, is currently working on Wild, and that still hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Well, that can't.
Unless
how that demoed, I wouldn't have thought that requires much more creative work. That seems like a thing where it's just like he'd already done that and it just needed building out.
Yeah, maybe you can leave the team to it now to some degree. And the final thing on my list is, hey Zach, have you heard of Atlas Reactor?
Someone on my Steam list plays it constantly, so that's as much as I've heard about it.
Okay, so I saw this and I heard it described as basically XCOM. Someone tried to take XCOM style combat and change it up a bit and make it multiplayer focused. And I'm not 100% sure how it works, but it looks like you basically control a single guy and you plan out your move, and then but all the teams are doing that at once, and then all the turns play out simultaneously.
Sure.
So you queue up
like Frozen Synapse.
Yeah, a little bit, but sort of hero based, and trying to put the sort of the hero spin on simultaneous Frozen Synapse / XCOM combat. If given your lack of knowledge of it, I was just wondering how you thought that sat with you, because you struck me as like out of the three of us, the one that would look at that and go, yeah, that sounds like something I'd play.
Well, it's a matter of how much is there actually to it? Because there's if you think about what XCOM was actually like in multiplayer, it's just you could build out a team with different skills and stuff, and then fight them against each other, and you could have one player play the aliens and one player play the humans. It's it's fine, but there's 3 maps, and then you play it once and you're done.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of the actual content.
Well, it sounds like there from what I know of it, there are some. It's somewhat ingenious. They've split the turn into 4 phases, and you can, and those always play out in the same sequence, but they always play out for all players in the same sequence. So there's a I think they call it prep, dash, combat, and something else. I forget what the last one was. So you can place traps and do little healing maneuvers or something like that during the prep phase, and those all happen before combat. And then your dash phase is hey, you can move out of the way of something, if you want to. Oh no, move comes last. Sorry, a generic move comes last. Then all your combat executes, so everyone shoots each other, and then you move out of the way or move to your next location or next bit of cover at the end.
No, it's really just like that. The Star Wars board game that I was playing on Tabletop Simulator, where it's the same, essentially a board game concept, where it's just you assign moves, but you don't know what the enemy's going to do. You see where you are, and then if there's a guy in range, then you can shoot. And
it's basically that. Yeah, so you can sort of plan ahead with other team members. It's 4v4, I think, but it's not. What I couldn't gather is whether or not you're controlling all 4 of your heroes, or if every player just has control of one guy to try and speed it up a bit. So the idea is you could have one player who's a trap player, put a trap down, you dash in to do a combat maneuver. I don't know. There are ways of luring players, basically, and doing stuff to if you think that it's all about prediction. The enemy's probably going to do this, right? He's got his charge ready, so he's going to jump on my face. So if I prep a trap where I'm standing, dash out the way, and then that guy charges in, he can land. But then I've commanded my shoot mechanic to shoot at where I was just standing. So not only do I get out the way, but I damage him twice in my turn, and then I still have my move thing to get out the way of being in his line of sight for the next turn. Things like that. It sounds kind of smart. And it has a nice animated trailer on Steam. So there's that Atlas Reactor. Looks interesting, but I'm probably more interested.
I don't know why that was news.
It's not. It's sort of in the blending phase between news and games. Hence why I left it last.
That person on my Steam list who plays it all the time has been playing it for months. By judging by how often I see them play it.
Oh, I think it's just come out of beta.
Sure.
Yeah, so
that makes sense. Well, I'm not sure they're actually playing it. I think they might be doing some kind of market / farming or something. I think there might be some trading aspect or somewhere. I don't know. I don't really talk to them about it, but I just see it pop up all the time.
I think it is sort of free to play, but they have a buy-in option where if you buy a certain pack or something, you'll just get access to all of the characters they add forevermore. Something like that. So just trial it, I guess. Sorry, I'm done. I just wanted to ring in case I'm interested. Interested anyone?
Time for what you've been playing. Who's going first? Zeg?
No, I think you have to go first because I know what you've been playing because I've seen your Steam achievements, and we have to talk about that, obviously.
Fine. Okay.
What have you been playing?
Well, I bounced off Shadow of Mordor. Can't be bothered. I got killed.
I did notice that too.
Right.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I did like the movement, and I was doing the Batman combat, and I was like, this isn't as good as Batman, but okay. Which is fine, because you hit the counter button and shit, and it's like, wow, I've just started this game and I can take on 1 million orcs because I can infinitely jump over them and stab them and etc. So and they keep because it's an open world, they keep I keep aggroing them the longer I fight, and then more of them come, and it's like, okay, fine. But then there are these beasts dog, big wolf type things. They're like wargs, the wargs, but they're not wargs. For some reason, they didn't use wargs, which wargs would make sense. They're called Carrigan or something. Anyway, and of course, you can't counter those. So it gives you the button prompt to dodge out of the way of them, which is fine. But if you hit the button, that doesn't work. You have to actually dodge out of the way of them, right? You can't just hit the button and the guy knows which way to dodge. You have to dodge in the direction that's away from the way they're running.
Right. So you can't just roll into their mouth. And
you can't just, which makes sense, I guess. But it's really hard to have the situational awareness. If there's more than one of them, or if you're fighting enemies, it's really hard to figure out the correct way you need to be rolling, because you can't even see what the fuck's going on, really.
Oh, right. So you might roll into another one.
Yeah, exactly. And they're charging and they're running into walls and stuff, and I just got fucked up by them one too many times, and I was like, this doesn't feel... I'm sure it probably gets better, but I just can't be bothered. Anyway.
Maybe you're missing an ability at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, you can ride them and stuff later on, I think. You can, and all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. I just wasn't really feeling it in terms of mechanically. I'm sure it gets, especially with the whole, army system and the lieutenants and stuff. And that
did we figure out what the name of that was?
The
Shadow Border system, Rivals or whatever. We called it Rivals last time.
Rivalry system. I mean, it's cool, obviously, but I didn't get heavily into it because I got fed up with the combat. And I was thinking, man, this was Game of the Year for that year, but it wasn't the best year now, was it?
Was it 2 years ago now?
Yeah, whenever it was. There wasn't much going on. Anyway.
That was our Bayonetta year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
What were they thinking?
Yeah. So, I'm sure people really enjoyed it, etc., but whatever, I bounced off it. So, instead, I start playing XCOM 2.
Hey!
Which is, semi-relevant, because it just came out on consoles, so...
Yep. I noticed that because fucking the wikias I was using were covered in fucking XCOM 2 adverts.
Yeah, there's a bunch of XCOM 2...
Not that wikias aren't always covered in adverts all the time, always, because fucking Wikia, it's a bloody terrible hosting solution for wikis. I wish people would stop using it, because every time I have to go and look up something on one of those, it's like, oh god, is this page even going to load correctly? It's just going to crash.
Can't people just use the Wikipedia engine? Isn't that freely available? Because it's
it is.
Well, I
then
assume
they'd have
it's
to host it, everything,
yeah,
don't they?
it's the hosting more than the convenience of having a place where you can just buy a wiki site, essentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But they're fucking terrible sites covered in adverts that break the page most of the time.
Yeah, the software's called MediaWiki, right? That is used quite a bit, but wikias are, are a hosted version of MediaWiki. I think they do run that, but it's obviously some kind of fork, and it has all those insane adverts. And the ones where it's you click an external link and it pops up an advert that even I see with an ad blocker. It just plugs up a blank modal, and then you have to click another button to actually go to the link. So if one of these wikias links to Wikipedia, it's like a 2-step process to actually get there.
Yeah, outbound links.
Yeah. Terrible. Oh, so annoying. Anyway, XCOM 2. Yeah. We have to talk about this then, Zeg.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm looking at 2014 just to say, like, hey, like, was that a bad year? And it's like, there are some games on here that should have been noteworthy, like Forza Horizon 2 and Dark Souls 2, if we were into that.
Forza Horizon 2 is, it's at this point seen as like the least good one. Now there's 3, right? I guess.
Well,
although it's fine.
No.
It's perfectly
3
fine.
is basically 2, just in a better environment.
Yeah, that's what
it's
people
the same
say.
game.
They're all the same game, yeah.
Mario Kart 8 as well that year.
Yeah.
As well as Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 2.
Right. XCOM. So, trying to figure out how I feel about it. Like, the whole timer thing.
Yeah.
Not as bad for me as I thought it would be. I see what they're doing. Like, the whole thing in general, I see what they're trying to do. And I think that as a sequel, they're making a lot of decisions which seem logical. Like, they're mixing it up, which is kind of what you want, right? Because there's the whole idea of you don't want the same again, right?
Yeah.
Right, which is good. I think they made some... I don't think the decisions they made to differentiate it from the first game are bad. But they're not enough to make me like it more than the first game. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So, like, even down to, like, the setting and stuff, I think it's cool that it has a mixed-up setting where now you're the Resistance and, and the aliens have already won and all of that stuff. I think that is cool, and it does make it sort of scarier in a different way. Not really scary, but, creepier. XCOM always has a certain creepiness to it, right? Although it was a bit cartoony originally.
Well, the thing about the original, or, like, the first one of this...
First reboot, yeah.
is, like, the creepiness was because you didn't know anything about the aliens.
Yeah.
Whereas now they sort of try to do that again, except now it's just like these are the same aliens, only they've changed.
Yeah, like
it doesn't quite work the same way.
Like for instance, like it's much less cartoony. Like the actual aliens are sort of creepier in their animations and everything. Like sectoids are much bigger and scarier than they were. Obviously, they're like totally different.
Yeah. Yes.
For example, and like, but for me, like for example, the Thin Men have turned into the snakes. Is that right?
Yeah.
But the Thin Men were cartoony compared to the snakes, but the Thin Men were creepier because they were like weird X-Files villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were
Uncanny Valley type thing.
Essentially.
Yeah. Like, and I liked there were whole missions where it was just Thin Men, right? In XCOM, and those were cool.
Well, I think those missions were cool just because Thin Men were easy.
Yeah, that's true. They were easy, but they were also
they were kind of awesome though. I like the Thin Men.
Yeah, they were kind of awesome, and like I don't not like the new creature designs. Like I quite like the snake. I think the snake is what's it called? I just call it the snake, whatever it's called. Viper thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because its ability to grab one of your squad, from miles away is quite bad.
Yeah.
Like they can screw you up, even like almost especially later on. Even though they're a weak enemy, they can screw you up. Like the design of the enemies, there's more enemies, and the design of their attacks is more kind of dastardly. Do you know what I mean? Less straight ahead.
That's a good word.
Like the Codex guy who teleports and clones himself when he gets hit, and has that area of effect attack that unloads all your weapons. Like that guy's a bastard.
Unloads? What you mean?
Yeah,
you clip out.
Yeah. You just have to reload. So basically, you have to choose to either move or shoot because you have to reload, which uses half your turn.
Yeah,
but you have to move because the next turn that area effect attack explodes.
Yeah, or you could just tank it. It's not that damaging.
I guess so. I find it hard to leave my guys like in a.
Well, sure. You don't want anyone to take any damage. Yeah, they'll be in fucking hospital for a month.
Exactly. That takes.
Is that what happens? If you leave a mission and they're hurt at all.
Well, it doesn't seem to matter if you heal them. Like, if they were gravely wounded at any point, then they take ages to recover.
Well, There's basically two problems with the wound system, one of which is fixed with mods. Which, firstly, like, healing them in battle doesn't really count. Like, even if you heal them in battle back to full health, when you get back, they're still counted as gravely wounded, so they're still going to be out of action for a month or whatever.
You've basically just drugged them up to get through the pain for the mission.
Yeah, which I guess is fair.
But then, like, the other problem with it is that it doesn't actually account for armor at all. Because when you get the higher levels of armor, it adds to your health bar, but it doesn't count that as armor, essentially, because armor is a different thing. You can also have armor, which reduces damage.
Yeah.
Like it's a second layer, it just reduces the amount of damage that gets to your health.
And that's on enemies as well. So
yeah, and that's on enemies as well.
So you mean the probability of wounds is still
well, it's
not
like
relevant to health?
if you have, like, power armor or something which adds 8 blocks to your health bar, if you take any damage at all, it still counts as health damage, so you still get wounded and you still have to go to hospital. Whereas, theoretically, those first 8 blocks on your health bar are the armor, not your actual health.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
There's a mod that you can use to fix that, of course.
I'm kind of with you there. That sounds wrong. They shouldn't have done that. Like, just from a world building point of view, it's like, if your armor is stronger, the armor should take the bullet.
Yeah, that's the whole, and it's like plasma and stuff. It's like the whole point of having armor is to not let the plasma hit your body.
I mean, I kind of like that. Like, it's one of the oddities of Overwatch, right? That they actually decided to model things like armor and shield damage as slightly different forms of health. Right? It's like they thought about it. Like, D.Va will take armor damage before she takes. Well, I suppose it's all armor.
On top of it.
I suppose it's all armor damage on D.Va, but Zenyatta
Quake 3 work, right?
Quake was weird, wasn't it? Because you sort of hurt a little bit of health, and then a lot of armor if you had armor. But
yeah, that's how it should be. Anyway, that's one little thing.
Yes, that is one.
So I mean, the time limit thing. Like, it just means you're not creeping forward and hitting Overwatch all the time, which is good. I think it is an improvement. You have to basically, at the start of the game, most of them start with you in this new mechanic called concealment, which is stealth, which is cool, which makes sense in the world, in terms of the... And as
it makes sense apart from the bit where the timer still goes down while you're in stealth. Which is really
now that is done. Yeah, but then you kind of have to rush forward anyway, even though when there's no enemies around, because otherwise you're basically wasting turns. Yeah. But then the moment you get spotted, like, I haven't quite figured out, I like the concealment mechanic. I think it's cool. And because the idea that basically the main benefit of concealment, as far as I can tell, is that the Overwatch aim penalty is removed. So you can actually kind of trap enemies.
I don't know if it's removed exactly. It's just like this. I'm not entirely sure what the bonus is, because it's this weird, like, semi-Overwatch state where it doesn't trigger if you see enemies until you get revealed. So it's not exactly the same as Overwatch.
But when the Overwatch happens, then you it's like a normal shot. You don't get the aim penalty, so that's pretty cool. But yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
From
a setup perspective. You're meant
so
to
you
be
can
prepared.
You meant to prepare a trap, basically.
So if you put you're concealed, what you mean is if you're concealed and you put like a wall of people in Overwatch.
Well, basically, what you want,
but you specifically go out and purposefully get yourself revealed.
Yeah.
But then all of the Overwatch guys are then stronger for that turn.
Well, ideally, what you want to do is move all but one of your people and have them go into Overwatch, and then move the last person so he gets revealed, and then when the enemies move because they've seen you, then everyone on your team shoots.
Yeah, because
does that only work when you know you're going to get revealed?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, unless the enemies
to reveal as well, obviously. You don't have to move into their sightline. If you shoot them, you're revealed.
Or in, like, the occasions where the enemy patrol moves to a space where they can see you.
Yeah.
On their turn.
Of course.
On their turn. And then they're fucked. Yeah. So that's kind of fun. But it is quite hard to set up that trap while you've got a time limit over your head, because you tend to want to dash in the first couple of turns just to be aggressive, because you just have to kind of get there. Which,
I mean, it's awkward because that goes against my style of play.
Well, everyone's style was
very
forward
slow.
in Overwatch, but that is gone, and I think that's actually quite a positive.
It's sort of good, but, like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a good mechanic in theory, except you have to it's not exactly exploits, but you have to like, just from your knowledge of the game, you have to like intuit where might be safe to run to immediately in order to be able to see where the enemies are.
That's quite.
And it's like that's not exactly like game mechanics. It's like this weird thing you have to be able to like vaguely know from the design of the level, where it's like, oh, that building rooftop will probably be not visible, so I'll probably just grapple up there on my first turn.
I'm
and then
kind
from
of
there I'll be
doing
able to
that.
see the enemies.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of rushing my snipers because
Well, yeah, because they can't move and shoot. Mainly.
Because they can't move and shoot. But instead of having them hang back, it's like, well, they're going to need to move forward eventually. So I might as well rush them on the first turn and hope that they don't reveal a whole bunch of enemies and, you know, hope I've picked a nice place.
Once you get the grappling hook suit for a sniper, and then it's just like, first turn you just grapple onto whatever high thing there is.
Right. Do I need to build those for my snipers? I'm like halfway through, so probably, or maybe less. I don't know.
Well, it's just like, I only made one because you don't really need one, I guess, because you just switch it out. The way equipment works now.
You have the grappling hook.
Yes, I always give that to the snipers because height advantage is just so important for snipers.
And it's really good. I always like snipers in the first game, and the what death from above bonus is really good. Where if you kill someone from high, you get an extra action. I think that's right.
Nice.
One of them, I think
that's pretty nice. So the perks are nice, just like they were before. Yeah, what was I going to say?
You're painting this in a way more positive light than Zach did.
Well, I think it's a good game. I think it's good. I just don't get as good vibes as I'm not enjoying it as much as when I played the first game. But I don't think it's done bad things. I think it's actually made a good effort of making a proper sequel that's different. But I just don't like it as much.
But also, there could be a situation where it's like, theoretically, Dan hasn't had any legitimate bullshit happen yet.
Yeah.
Because there was that period, like the second time I tried to play it, and I just had like 3 or 4 missions in a row where it's like, oh, these are fine. The time limit isn't even a problem.
Yeah.
Whereas those first few where I'd been completely fucked by the time limit, it was like, that's really annoying.
I've definitely scraped it a couple of times, especially, and like, I've had a mission the other day where I had to evac without killing everything because there was a codex and it turned into 2, and I was like, fuck that, I'm just going to run away, which is fine, obviously.
Well, assuming you've already completed the mission objective, yes.
Yeah, well, that was the only objective. It was run away. That was like rescue one of my guys.
Sure, the rescue missions, yeah.
Yeah, I actually got confused by that because I didn't understand what had happened to the guy. I think they got knocked out, but then...
Yeah, it's basically... it depends on whether it's like a rescue mission or a take a hostage kind of mission, because you basically just run up and punch them, and then one of your guys has to pick them up and carry them. Yeah,
but I think what happened in one of my missions was, I think it was a rescue VIP mission, but one of my guys got knocked out, I think, and then what I should have done is pick him up and carry him out, but instead I just sort of left him, and then I managed to rescue them later, in a later mission.
Oh, right, you mean the aliens caught them because you didn't evac them, and then you could go back later and get them back.
Exactly, but I didn't understand what had happened when they got incapacitated because I couldn't select them anymore, and it wasn't.
Well, the thing is, in my playthrough, I've never had anyone incapacitated.
Yeah,
always just die or don't.
Yeah, exactly. I was really confused. I was like, did he die? Because it didn't come up with a little, it didn't say this guy has died in the. It did. Maybe I missed the message. It probably should have said this guy has been incapacitated, but. It just seemed... I don't understand what happened. Anyway. He
just seemed dead, maybe.
Yeah, he just seemed dead. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was confusing. So my main problem with and I don't remember having a problem with this in the last game, but presumably it was there. Or maybe it's just the way the levels are now. But I have all kinds of problems with buildings and rooftops and different
stories.
Height
control.
Well... Like, moving my guys to different heights is totally fine, but it's the way that people can see each other through walls and ceilings and shoot each other with 100% accuracy straight through stuff, and it just fucking makes no sense. It's like...
And the line of sight is just complete...
The line of sight is totally fucked. Like, it's stupid because, like, you can see the line of sight in the world. Like, because sometimes you get, like, a sniper shot or a shot in general... And you can see the guy, but because he's in high cover, you get such a big penalty to the aim. Even though it's a direct shot, basically, your aim penalty is no. You've got like a 40%
like
or
30%
something.
or something.
Yeah, 30%. But you can see a direct line, from where your guy is stood to where he needs to shoot. And I get that, like in the world of the game, the idea is that they might duck behind cover at the last moment, and that's what it's meant to represent. So that's
they did
fine.
But then they did slightly improve. Like now there's a less binary state between flanking and not flanking. There's like a good angle.
Yeah, so good angle. That's good.
You don't have to be at exact right angles with people to flank them. As you start approaching the right angle, you get the good angle bonus. Yeah. So it starts negating the cover effect.
But then the line of sight
doesn't really help enough.
Inside, like through, I think shooting through floors is the thing that's really annoying me. So like,
yeah, like it seems like the floors and roofs are actually worse than walls for like calculation.
They're really
somehow.
bad because like if you are, so for instance, if my guy is inside a room on the second floor. But he's nowhere near any of the windows, but he's in the middle of the floor because that's as far as I could dash him to, right? Yeah. So he's in no cover technically, right? But then guys on the ground floor can see him through the floor of that room and shoot him, and he's in no cover.
What?
Through the floor.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Vertically upwards.
Sometimes vertically.
Inside the building to the roof of a building. Yeah.
Wow, that is problematic.
It makes no sense. And yet it's like the game is saying, well, you don't have the cover bonus.
And the floor is nothing?
And the floor is nothing.
The floor is glass?
And also it's kind of confusing because a lot of walls and things in general can be quite easily blown up by grenades and explosions. So that makes sense. Like that takes out cover and stuff. And that seems to be quite a big difference and important part of this game is removing cover with grenades. Yeah, making holes in general. But it doesn't explain how you can like see people through the floor of a building, and that's really
that description is way worse than what Zach said.
And it works both ways. Like you can shoot them straight through the floor.
Well, it's just like you'll be on Overwatch and your guy will just shoot at a dude who's behind the building you're standing next to through both the walls.
Yeah, through both the walls.
Calculations are just bad.
And it's still not patched to fix that. That's
well, I don't know. I think it's a core problem. I don't think it's easily fixed. Like, I think because I think my main problem with it is the way it just goes counterintuitive to what you think about making maneuvers through buildings, like in tactically. It just
you think you're safe if you're away from the windows.
Yeah,
you're not really,
but you're not
because the walls are like 50% transparent.
Yeah, so it's like, and I haven't quite figured out with the 3D geometry of it, like now that I know this, how I actually need to be positioned. Like I know, like, okay, don't stand in the middle of a room for sure. Always be in cover, even though it doesn't look like you should be able to be seen. Stuff like that. Or I don't know. It's
that's awful.
I think it's pretty bad.
Like I was sort of coming back into the idea of maybe I should play this, having sort of written it off after Zach's reviews. But then that sounds unforgivable.
I mean, I don't know.
Like,
I think
to a certain extent, you get used to it, I guess.
Yeah, you sort of get used to it, and like,
and you start to realize like these bits of like the trains are indestructible, so those are always relatively safe to be in cover behind, and that kind of stuff.
No, but boy, I don't know. That's kind of that just sounds like an enormous bug. Like nothing. Like just a core. Even if Dan says it in a different language, like a core flaw, that's a pretty significant flaw.
And it didn't get any better from the first game.
Unlike the actual flaws.
I'm trying to remember why it didn't bother me in the first game, and I think it's because there wasn't that much verticality, even in the UFO.
There really wasn't.
Yeah, which was...
And there wasn't as many walls, really, as I wouldn't have said.
No.
Cover,
and there was no procedural generation aspect of any of those levels in the first one, whereas that does come into play now. I mean, although I don't know if it affects the buildings.
Maybe that makes it worse somehow, like the procedural generation, because everything's made of smaller parts, there's more chance for the like line of sight geometry to be fucked.
I guess
certainly.
I guess they can look at each of the maps this time and be all like, oh, you know what, that bit of calculation is wrong. We can just fix that up, which they obviously can't do. Because
I remember in the first game endlessly doing that one where you kind of go through a corridor in the woods up to the crashed alien ship.
Sure.
That was a fun map. It's just you did it too many times, pretty much.
Yeah, you did it a lot.
But I do remember going, move one action, Overwatch, move another, all the way up to that ship because there was no time limit on it. And I do kind of appreciate the kind of more
and it varied quite a bit.
Yeah,
it varied quite a bit. Those downed UFO levels, didn't they? Like in terms of where everyone was stationed. They could have just been out in the wild, or way off to the flanks. And it's like if you just went for the saucer.
I mean, there are still missions like that in XCOM 2. Any mission where you don't get a time limit, it's like, oh, this is like the first game, and it's actually kind of nice to be able to move slowly and actually plan moves ahead of time and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And the metagame, like, I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet because I haven't played through a whole thing, but like the Doomsday timer, I'm trying as best I can, and it's going really close to the end. But I think every time you do one of those enemy bases, it kind of resets it back. So it's like, it's a kind of fake out timer. Because I think even when it gets to the end, you still get 20 days or something to. So I think you can game the timer, but it puts tons of pressure on you because it looks like the end of the game is one pip away, and you haven't even got halfway through.
You don't necessarily. Especially the first time through, you don't necessarily know that there's these events that can happen that reduce it like a lot. Right. Like the first time you hack the codex or whatever, and you suddenly get two pips removed, it's like, oh, that's actually really helpful.
Yeah, I'm nearly at the end though. I'm one pip from death, and I'm only halfway through the game, so I don't know what's going to happen.
That was my problem with the map, with the whole map situation. It's just like I didn't know how urgent anything was, and it's like it's spawning these random events, and you're like, should I go do that, or should I be spending my time doing something else? Should I be scanning at the base, or should I not? I don't know.
Yeah, because my first enemy base after the second one, was miles away from anywhere I had any resistance contact with.
Yeah,
so it was
you have to expand the map. That's a giant pain in the ass.
Well, I'm not going to go that way. And then, anyway, so doing all that. And like, what did they even explain? Did I miss a cutscene? Did they explain where your ship comes from? I get that it's an alien ship, but
they vaguely mention it in some of the cutscenes where it's just like it's a downed cargo ship from the first war that the scientist dude from the first game rebuilt,
fixed
and
up.
Then they finally got it working just in time for you to arrive.
Because, like, I mean, I don't know, it's fine. Excavating inside a ship is quite weird.
That doesn't really make that much sense.
It doesn't really make sense, but it's fine. I don't really like the characters as much as the first game's guys, but I guess they don't really matter anyway.
No.
Like, I quite like the kind of Russian scientist from the original. Was she Russian or something?
German, I think.
German. Oh, was she German? All right, okay. Anyway, yeah. But that's all fine. It's kind of weird as well having the same council dude contact you. It's just like a retro thing. Like,
I mean, he's like, now he's even more secretive because the council can't, he's actually a double agent now because he's in like the alien council or whatever.
Yeah.
Or who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's all good. I mean, it has enough draw, definitely. Like, I'll just play another round and another round. That's how they work, isn't it? So, and I think the game is good. Like, I don't know how to mitigate that floors and ceiling walls problem, but
someone modded it. That's always the question.
I don't know about
someone
the line of sight situation.
But then mods, presumably, do mods turn off with like achievements and stuff like that? In there?
Well, I don't know. That is the question. I guess just don't go on top of buildings that enemies might be in is the answer.
Well,
clear them out and then go up.
I'm constantly trying to use the rooftops for my snipers though and stuff.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I mean, it's just like with the snipers, it's just like the classic situation as in the first game where once you get in a good position, you basically don't want to move.
No,
but then your sniper gets left miles behind.
Yeah, but
which
with the
can be a
squad
problem with
sight,
time limits.
They can shoot a long way. Yeah, but it's trying to run and get to the end, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
It's you get in that situation where
That's
run
also
out
where
of
the grapple
shots.
suit comes in.
So you need to run, and you need to reload, and you need to do everything, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the grapple suit also comes in, though, because the grapple counts as a free move, which is sweet.
Oh, amazing. No, I'm definitely getting that. Okay.
And weirdly, even, like, the grapple counts as a free move, but you can totally use it, like, on the same level as you, so you can just use it to move.
Oh, cool.
Providing there's a grapple point, it's like only the certain ledges of certain buildings and certain
you can
locations that you can grapple to. But if it happens to be vaguely in the right direction, it's like, oh, I've just got a free extra 5 squares of move just by grappling.
Oh, sweet. I quite like the whole ranger thing. Like, I'm not that good at it yet, but I quite like the melee element and the fact that my ranger's perks means that she doesn't lose concealment with the rest of the squad, so you can use her as a sort of weird...
Yeah, I was undecided about using that or like using the other perk. I don't remember what the other one was.
Yeah, I don't think it's that great, but in principle, it's kind of cool that you can like stay concealed. And,
it's like kind of, it's like you have to kind of get lucky because like when you get first revealed and the enemies start moving, that can easily reveal her.
Yeah,
as well.
It can do. Yeah, you have to kind of plan ahead a little bit, have her on the flank, and that way, because that does make it easier to flank because you have she's got a shotgun in my one, and obviously the melee, so you want to kind of.
Do you stay concealed if you manage to kill someone and not like immediately?
No.
So
as soon as you fire, everyone gets revealed unless you have that skill. And then there is a ranger skill that you can get at some point where you can go back into concealment. So I wonder if that's like whether that would be useful in some ways.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I definitely haven't min-maxed much yet. You know, I don't know.
The important thing that I discovered was like I could never have enough specialists, maybe because my specialists kept fucking dying. But
yeah, specialists with the healing and even like the scanning protocol thing is pretty damn good.
Well, it was
what you actually see what the fuck's going on.
What I sort of neglected was that, like, you obviously go for the healing first because especially if you played the first game, you know, like you definitely need a medic.
A medic, yeah.
Someone who can do it. And with the robots now, it's like it's actually pretty easy to heal people, no matter how far away they are, because the robot can just fly there.
Yeah, little gremlin.
But then, like, the thing that I neglected was like the other support tree, the like anti-robot tree, I guess. I think it's even the first ability. You get the one like just the 4 points of damage shock. It's like that's actually really useful. You don't really necessarily. You think it's kind of shitty because it's like, oh, it's just 4 points of damage. Well, I could just shoot someone, but it's like it's 100% chance to hit 4 points of damage, and it does double to robots. So that's like 8 damage for 100% chance to hit.
Yeah, that is pretty good. I haven't got that on any of my specialists because I got the healing. Stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I should probably get a hacking specialist up and running. Put them in the Advanced Warfare Center or whatever. Where you can
and it is very useful. Like if you miss killing someone by 1 hit point, you just have the robot go over there and zap them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's XCOM 2. I'll probably I'll carry on playing that. It's good. But I kind of still want to play Civilization when it comes out, so I'm kind of rattle through this a bit.
Better get your skates on.
Firaxis at the moment. It's all about turn-based, and then I don't have to actually, have my wits about me at all. Be a bit more relaxed about things.
I don't know if I ever considered the first XCOM a relaxed game.
It's not. It's tense, but you know what I mean. You don't have to like. There's no, quick reactions necessary.
No. Ponderous.
It's not like playing Doom or something.
They weren't tempted to go for that then.
Not yet, anyway.
It's on deal fairly frequently.
Yeah.
So like to bring it down to half price, that's.
Right, okay,
Anything
who's
else?
next? I think no, just been playing XCOM, so who's next? Rob, do you want to go?
Can do. I've not got too much to talk about this time. Basically just been ploughing on with what I was playing, but just in sort of small disjointed amounts. Not as I haven't got quite as much time under my belt as I normally would in terms of gaming. Still carrying on with GTA 5. I think I'm just getting to the point where I need to start prepping for the big one.
Right.
I've been to North Yankton.
Oh, okay. You've seen that whole story thing?
Well, you kind of knew what that story that kind of fell flat because you already know what that story is from Michael's conversations with Dave, and then
it
comes out
happened.
and it's like, it's like so it has very little impact. It's like that's just kind of my problem with a lot of the story. Actually, it's like you sort of know half the stuff ahead of the characters, and you're just sort of like, yeah, sure, carry on.
Because you're meant to be playing as Trevor, and yet you know more than Trevor knows.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to really judge it, but like when it's clever, it's clever. But like I'm not up about the writing at all this time. Really, I just find everything. Like I find Trevor and Michael to be sort of at each other's throats just for the sake of it after a while, and Franklin just sort of continues to disappear. If in terms of his
I know
writing and stuff like that, it's just no. It feels like it's getting worse as it goes on. Like I don't know. There was the cool moment where Deborah turns up. That was fun, but odd little sequences I think are entertaining.
Yeah.
But on the whole, it's just I don't think it hangs together. Like I sort of expected more. I don't know, from something with this amount of, I don't know, praise thrown at it constantly. Like, and I guess coming off Red Dead.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's quite a high standard, Red Dead.
Yeah.
Although Red Dead is like, as it goes through, like, I think Red Dead story is great, but there's a lot of, like, mucking about in Mexico, getting involved in a civil war when really that's not really what the character's motivation really is.
I get it, but there is something about like means to an end stuff there that GTA often doesn't have.
Right.
Like even Mexico, right? You're helping this guy out because he can eventually assist you in the way that's
the
meaningful.
Idea. It's just that he takes too much shit, isn't he? Like he doesn't get impatient and say, "Come on, I did all this stuff. Give me what I need."
Yeah, anyway. But you sort of do that in GTA, and then
true.
Nothing ever comes of it. Is the problem? Like GTA is the exact opposite problem, where you get impatient, and normally that either results in you murdering fools for no gain, or nothing actually, just straight up nothing happening.
Yep.
It's odd. Like I don't know. I've got to what I think might be the end of the car boosting. Is it Devin or Devlin?
Oh God, yeah.
Phase, and
that's quite fun. The missions themselves are fun. Like, especially
there's nothing necessarily wrong with them, especially when you get the Bond card,
the James Bond card. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done the second. If it helped, I don't know if there's any more to it, but I've done the second time you drive the Bond car.
Yeah, I think that's probably the end of it. Yeah.
Nothing comes of it then.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. It's just like, why did I do all this? It's just. Ugh.
Hang on, is that the end of it? Have you been to the airport and stuff with that? It's definitely a bit where you...
Well, one of the boosts, you end up at the airport. Like,
right.
You just drop off a car and he flies off.
Right. I'm sure there's something more dramatic than that happens at the airport. I'm trying to remember. Oh, that might be later.
Maybe there is more.
Anyway, what did you think of
with Molly telling you about an investment or something, and you go, so basically Franklin goes, basically I'm getting robbed. Spoilers, I guess, but for a side quest. But
standard. How did you enjoy the...
that was where Trevor and Lamar had a chat. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Okay, yeah. What did you think of the small town heist?
Oh yeah, that was bonkers.
That was fun, right? I mean, it's stupid, but it plays well, and it's
it makes absolutely no sense, but a little bit. I was surprised that it escalated as much as it did.
Yeah, because you do all that setup of like scoping out the little bank and everything, and all that.
That's also never explained, is it? It's like it looks like, oh yeah, the cops are a bit on this.
Yeah,
and then they're more on this than you could ever imagine. And it's just.
Well, it's all to do with the like military contractor company or whatever, isn't it? Anyway,
I don't know the details exactly of that. I guess, but they're just everywhere. Oh man, it's such. It feels like such a mixed bag that game. Like I've had more jank scenarios where. Oh, I'm trying to remember that there was one where like another case of. Oh, that just failed. What just happened? I don't know how I failed that. I can't remember what it was. Something just happened mid mission where it's just like, no, you failed. And someone died or something. It's like, but I had nothing to do with that. And I was just like, right, well, let's do this again then. And I did have one case where I accidentally pressed Y while flying a helicopter, but you know.
Classic.
It just fell out of it. I think I did the last of the drug running stuff, and I think I had a few problems with that. I think that last, like, because you fail all that in any way, and it just goes, no, do the whole thing again from scratch. And those missions take ages because you got to fly out to the thing and fly like like halfway across the map, and it's like, oh, seriously?
Yeah. I don't think I did.
If you accidentally faff the landing, like you're like, oh, I'm going to do the whole mission again. It's yeah, I don't know. I stand by my original statements, and that it's a hell of an achievement, and the world is impressive. And there was one time where I just spawned as Franklin, and he was at his house, and there was literally a gun battle happening out on his porch,
right,
between the cops and some drivers. And I just went out there and watched it, like just didn't get in the way of it, just stood there and was like, "What's going on?" And
what's going on in the hood?
Yeah, just watching these two people having a terrible shot. One guy got killed, but the other one, like, they just couldn't hit each other. To the point where they got back in the car, and then neither of them could drive properly, and just kept slamming into my garage. And it's just like just watching them go wham, wham, and Franklin's just stood there going, "Man, you need to take lessons."
Yeah,
and it's just like, okay, this is hilarious. Oh no, that was it. I waded in on a I was as Trevor, and there was an event going on nearby where a copper was chasing a dude, and I chased the perp for ages. I helped the police. That seems to be how you solve that one. And it was like, yeah, you're chasing this guy for ages, and eventually downed him. And we're approaching the guy with our guns drawn. He was up in the surrender position, and we're just approaching him. And then the cop suddenly goes, "What did I do to you?" And I'm like, wait, the cop said that? What's going on? Oh no, the cops for some reason just suddenly turned hostile.
On you?
And yeah, despite the fact I was helping him, like, just because I stood there with my gun drawn, I guess, pointing nowhere near him. I was sort of in front of the cop. And he just just turns around, turns hostile, and then a cop chase begins, which I immediately die in because it was in the middle of bloody nowhere. There was no cover, and a chopper came in, and it's like, I'm just getting shot from the sky, and it's like, God damn it, game. It's like, why did you do that? I'm doing everything by the book here. I've done this event before like this, and you were happy with it. Nah. Jank.
Yeah.
Oh, and I found one more of Maud's targets. One more. Which, of course, became a gunfight, because everything becomes a gunfight.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about the...
I've got like a 60% rating now, so...
No, you're getting there.
It's slowed down. It's slowed down a lot, but I'm getting there.
You're not that far from the end of the story, I don't think, are you? No, if you
10 missions, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, they tie it
according to the stats. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, because I think the characters are well drawn as characters, but I don't think the plot itself is any good or goes anywhere. Like,
I'm not even sure the interactions between the characters are that great.
Well, I think initially between Trevor and Michael, it kind of makes sense.
I agree that the first third, I'm judging by distance. Yeah. The first third of that game does a pretty good job of combining them all. When you first meet Trevor, that's kind of well done. When you first meet Franklin, when Franklin and Mike hook up and stuff like that, the stuff with Mike's family, as painful as it is, in some ways, and as frustrating. Yeah. It is by far. Like the setups are good. It's just when it tries to get down to being something.
What's going on with his family right now? Have you lost them?
They're still out and about.
Okay, because obviously, well, not obviously, but you kind of get them back eventually, and that is fun.
Spoilers.
And, yeah, obviously. Yeah, there you go. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
It was going to happen.
Yeah. But that part is fun, so I quite like that. But that's kind of a microcosm, because that's just Michael's story, really. Yeah, but that's quite good. So he does have an arc in that sense. But yeah, I think the arc of all three characters together doesn't really work, especially because
they're also stupid to each other as well. Like, you know, how Trevor realised what was going on in Yankton and stuff like that just didn't really make a great deal of sense, and it just suddenly happened. It's like, oh, I know what's going on. It's like, wait, what? From what? How? What? And like, I know what's going on. How do you suddenly know what's going on? Like, I don't know.
I can't remember what the reason was for it.
Not great. They were just angry at each other, and he suddenly goes, "Oh, that happened," without it being explicitly said.
I mean, I guess maybe he's supposed to have known it from the start and is just in denial or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
What the story is.
That conversation does sort of take place. Yeah. Anyway, I will work my way through that slowly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to mainline it yet. I'm still doing everything I come across.
You'll probably zoom to the end once you trigger the final story kind of missions.
Maybe.
I would have thought. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm still doing everything I come across, but I've got that weird. I don't know how to get to the roof of the maze bank as Franklin.
Oh.
How do I do that?
Is that like an achievement or something?
No, there's a Dominator mission up there.
Oh, you probably have to steal a helicopter to get up there.
Yeah,
right?
but from where? Like, I have to go all the way to the airport, probably bust my way in, probably find a helicopter there. Because I thought there are some missions where Trevor just has a helicopter, right?
Yeah.
So I drove all the way out to his airfield, and it's like, well, naturally, it's not there. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I can't remember where's a good place to get a helicopter. I think that there's a heliport down by the marina where you can steal them, I think. But that's a bit hit and miss.
Well, the thing is, even for Franklin, it seems like since that mission has become available, even the parachuting missions where you would get where a helicopter would be waiting for you, those have disappeared.
Right.
So I can't even go steal a helicopter from those.
I think one of the classic ones is steal an air ambulance from the hospital. If you climb up on the roof, the one in downtown, that might work. But I'm not saying it's easy. They're not exactly everywhere.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hard ask. Because at one point there was a parachuting mission where you're walking up the waterfall sort of stairs to Maze Bank, and there's just a parachute there, and you pick it up, and the game teleports you to the top of Maze Bank. And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll just go find that mission again, and pick up the parachute, and because it wasn't a mission, it's one of those little side things. It's like, I'll just go to that parachute, and then I'll be on top of the bank. It's like, no, they thought about that as well. They took that out, and it's like, damn it, how do I get up there?
Oh. Okay.
It's frustrating. So yeah, what else am I doing? I played a little bit more Redout. Just nothing to say there, really. Just working my way through. It is what it is. I guess the major thing I should mention is that I've been playing the Fast Racing Neo Future DLC. Because that came out.
Very good.
Yeah, it's on par with the rest of it. I cannot complain with it at all. It's 8 more good tracks.
Great.
And yeah, absolutely nothing bad to say about it. It's it took me back into Fast Racing Neo, and then playing that again alongside Redout, it's Fast Racing's the better game.
It's definitely better. Yep.
And now Nintendo have put out a disc copy of it for £20. It's the better game and cheaper than Redout, providing that you have the a Wii U, which I think is how you described it last time. We mentioned it. It's it's the better game and it's less money, but you need a Wii U. So there's the problem. But it's great. I love it. Got back into it in a good way. It's that game is quality. It's a quality game. If you already have it and you just want the DLC, it doesn't fall into the category of Nintendo-like DLC prices either. It is £4.
Sweet.
That's
what you want.
Bargain.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So good on them for doing that. Well done, Shinnon. Also, they've put the soundtrack
Props.
out as a pay €5 or anything more that you want to proposition, and they'll give you FLAC files, which I might do because I quite like that soundtrack.
Oh yeah, is it good?
Yeah, it's it's F-Zero future racing style, hard, fast beats. Manic synth.
Banging hardcore tunes.
Yeah, not in the sense that we refer to that as, but yeah. That sort of fast tempo, almost psytrance like stuff in places. And it's like, yeah, it's cool. It's a good soundtrack. I think that's pretty much it.
Cool. Zachary Burgess.
It's not true at all.
What have I forgotten?
You forgot to talk about, because last week when I was here, when we didn't do a podcast, I mentioned it, and then you said...
Oh, crap, yes! We played Affordable Space Adventures.
That's still not what I was talking about, but okay, yes, that's also true.
So, we did that on the Wii U last week. That's a 3-player co-op game where you fly a ship around these puzzly sort of environments, and all 3 players have different roles. Although whoever ends up with the Wii U gamepad seems to have the most to do.
Predictably, because that's basically how all Wii U asymmetrical games work.
Yeah, so the way we were playing it, I was the science officer, which basically means I get to shine a flashlight about. Not that interesting, as it turns out. And occasionally shoot stuff with flares or scan stuff.
Okay.
Scanning stuff basically shows up like sensor styles. Like what your ship could be sensed by things in the environment that will kill you. But only the engineer can see the scan results. So the engineer has the most work to do because they have to manage all the ship systems, like how much energy goes to engines, what engine to use, whether they need to put dampeners on so the pilot, which would be Zach in this case, can actually fly the thing properly. And you have to, so the engineer has to be like managing it up and down to try and stop you from being detected, but also so you can get through the environment safely. And it's actually pretty clever in how it does that stuff. Simplistic from the outside, but some of the puzzles are like, right, what systems can we get by with to get through this, or what things do we have to turn off at precisely the right time to get through this sensor grid while we have no power running and are falling like a brick. It's quite clever. It's just perhaps needed more for maybe the pilot and science officer to actually do, because it's like all of the clever stuff is on the engineer role.
Right, okay. Need to balance it a little.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you don't have to play it in 3-player. You can play it in single player where one person has to do everything, and you can play it in 2-player where they split up the pilot and scanning role.
Maybe that.
But yeah, there aren't many games that can be played 3-player co-op like that. So
that's true. Cool. Okay.
A fun little excursion. What have I forgotten, Zach?
You've forgotten
Theatrythm.
Yep, that's it.
Theatrythm.
You said last week when I was here that you wanted to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Which made me think that you actually had something important to say about it, which I found weird because I would have thought you would have had something important to say about it.
I really don't. It's like Theatrythm is what it is. Okay. It's, Final Fantasy style rhythm game. It's like I've only played like a couple of hours of it in total. Like I haven't actually dipped into it in the way that you dipped hard into it.
Dipped hard. Yeah. You didn't nosedive. It's quite well made. I find its like RPG-ish elements somewhat baffling. Like it's just like, do I need to worry about all these stats? Like, or am I just playing stages? Like, am I just playing a music game? I guess having higher stats makes me get more stuff and progress faster. Maybe. Like having higher stats make the harder stages easier because I've got more health. I guess.
It's like the only thing that really matters is like you quickly sort of realise where it's just like for every field stage you just want to be configured to get all your health back because the field skills that give you health back and the field stages are inherently kind of easier than the battle stages. So it's like, this is where I can regain some health in between these slightly harder battle levels.
So I haven't got any skills to give you health back yet.
So well, yeah. Like, I mean, I guess you probably haven't got very many of the skills at all, really.
No, I've only done one of the medley quests.
Yeah.
And the second one it gave me immediately up to the difficulty to expert mode.
Yeah, that's the other thing about those quests, like respawning quests, is like you have to. Cats are fighting outside.
Yeah, you can hear that. Oh wow, is that Carrie?
I can hear the cats.
Cat fight.
The trick about those medley quest map spawn things is you have to realise that you can use that item you get that I don't remember what it is to spawn a level 1 map.
Right.
And that's basically what you want to do. Like you want to because when you
I don't think I've seen that item yet either.
When you complete it and it gives you a new one, especially in the beginning, it's like that's probably too hard. So you want to use that item to spawn a level 1 map, and then when you level off the level 1 map, it only jumps up a certain amount, so then you get like a better spread of levels, rather than just the one that it gives you from the start, and then one that's probably too hard.
I don't know. I'm not finding the level I'm on that tricky.
Well, it depends how good you are at the room thing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, expert mode's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Ultimate mode I struggle with, as we discussed last time, like... Or off air, ultimate mode just suddenly feels like a hell of a step.
Yeah.
Actually, the changes between all 3 difficulty levels seem quite severe.
Yep, they are quite severe.
I was a bit worried that the swipe mechanics would be a bit flaky, but actually they're quite well, they're quite generous, or at least they work well.
Well, yeah, it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the thing that I said at the time, where it's like you have to know, and it's fairly obvious as soon as you try it, where it's just like, use the buttons for the battle stage and use the stylus for the field stages.
When you go all buttons, do you?
Yeah, because in the
do the face buttons work as there's the red ones, or is it all just L and stick? Because it has one-handed mode as an option, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but you just use the stick for the slashes and any of the buttons for
any of the buttons. Okay,
pushing the buttons. But it's like that's how you do battle mode because battle mode is inherently faster.
Yeah.
So you can react quicker, whereas in field stage mode, you can't really use the buttons because they don't actually really properly work with the holds and the slides and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I found
because of the way when you're tracing a slide in the field stage and then it ends with a slash, doing that transition on the stick doesn't really work.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
But luckily, because the field stages are generally slower and less complicated, you can get away with using the stylus for those, and then be more accurate. And then get more health back.
It does have that sort of just one more song problem.
Yeah.
Whether you want to call that a problem or not. I was playing it the other night, but just sort of before going to sleep, and it's like, I should probably stop. But I could probably just do this one more stage.
Yes.
And then that went on for quite a while. Also, some of the music for Final Fantasy is just great, right?
Well,
so
yeah.
It's just
that's why that game works in general. It's just here's all the good tracks. And I come the bad ones.
I don't know. I was always kind of up on some of the. Criticize Final Fantasy 13 all you like, but I quite like the music from that game, and so
I think the ones they chose to put in the game were pretty good.
Yeah, good choices. Yeah, and so playing through a different game with that music is a good solution to that in a way.
I mean, there are a couple of there's a couple of tracks from the earliest games where it's just you basically repeating the loop 5 times because these games the NES game that only had a 10-second music loop, and it's just let's play that 5 times over consecutively.
Yeah,
try and make it a level.
Some of the field levels, you're at least always having 2 loops, right?
Yeah.
But they'll mix up the note pattern, so it's at least somewhat interesting.
Yeah, and then there's a few tracks where it's just what the fuck even is this?
Oh man, yeah. Some of the. I'm sure there was. I think it was one from Final Fantasy X where I didn't realize just how weird the syncopation of that track was. The Battle with Seymour, I think it is. Man, that's a mental song.
Where it's just it's you want to play One Winged Angel. Apart from it's a goddamn 9-minute song.
Yeah,
that level goes on forever.
Yeah, Theatrythm. So this is specifically the curtain call version? This is the last one they did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And then I guess finally Rocket League's water level came out and it's fine.
Well, because it's just a normal level.
It's a standard level. Yeah.
It's fancy skin. I think they already toned the water effect down.
Okay, right.
I'm not sure, it didn't patch again. It just looked like it got less suddenly.
Right.
And I was well, that's weird. Or maybe I'm just imagining it. But it looks less wobbly now.
I don't think the last time we played, I don't think it looked less to me. But
no, it's hard to tell. I never had that much problem with it to start with. So
no,
something that is exceptionally bothered.
I don't think we mentioned it on air, but yeah, the problem was that in you know how when I originally started talking about GTA, I thought this is a beautiful game, but sometimes the reflection maps went wrong when I was out at sea,
right?
Because of shaders, and you can sort of see yourself where you shouldn't sometimes. Yeah, Rocket League has that problem with the ball's outline. So if the ball is like in the sky against the water, the ball's outline you could sort of see ripple around the ball thanks to the water shader, right. Which some players sort of kicked up about because it's a bit like, well, hang on, this is making me judge this badly, and it's like it's really not that big a problem. Yeah, I mean it looks a bit weird for sure, yeah. but it doesn't really affect the game.
Yeah. And it's just another one of those things where it's just like, you know, you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Just like Wasteland.
Just like Wasteland.
It's not that bad. Yeah. Just deal with it.
Just deal with it. Yep. Put those sun pixelated shades on.
Yep. Specifically in the game, when they fall really slowly.
Okay.
So yeah.
Zaggle, what you got?
We played a bunch of Rocket League. I played some Rocket League. Rocket League happened. I also went back and played some Team Fortress 2.
Really?
Because I haven't since the matchmaking update.
Sure.
Where they changed it to be more like Overwatch, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Sort of. And I don't know.
That happened before Overwatch, though.
Yeah, it happened like ages ago. Mm. The matchmaking kind of sucks. Kinda. Well, the main problem with it is I don't know why, but it takes a really long time to find a new game after the match ends. Mm. And it always has to. Like, a server can't roll onto a new map. It searches for a new server and then dumps you out onto a new server, and then I don't know what the old server even does. Repopulates with fresh people, I guess. Which seems kind of unnecessary, considering the way the servers used to work. It's like, why does it not just...
Do old servers still exist? Can you still play that way?
You can. You can still get to the server browser, so you can still look at servers, but now none of the Valve servers appear on that list because they're all in the matchmaking.
Oh wow! All of the official servers have gone that way.
Yeah.
Huh.
And also the other problem I had with it was it occasionally would matchmake me onto US servers, which kind of sucks. Yeah. Because you can't configure it at all. You can't because in the server browser you could set a ping limit and be like filter out everything that's over 50. Don't want to see any of those. Whereas in this one, it tries to matchmake you into a server that's good, but what it considers good is too lenient. Where it's like, okay, it's an East Coast server, so my ping's only 100, but still.
Yeah, 100 is not good.
So yeah, that kind of sucks.
Connect to Luxembourg, damn it.
Yep, exactly. Always Luxembourg. Apart from when you mysteriously can't see Luxembourg for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Luxembourg's just fallen through the whole of Europe.
But then the other trouble, well, not really trouble, the other thing that I found kind of poop about the new matchmaking-ness of it was the icons they used to show your rank as you level up. Even in casual, you have like your casual rank or whatever, basically like Rocket League. But like the icons that they've made for that are fucking terrible. They're completely indistinguishable, and you can't even it's like they're scaled badly as well. Like the small versions of really look kind of pixelated, but not really. I don't know how to describe it. They just look like bad. And the different tiers are not distinct enough. I think it's because they want to have a lot of tiers. As far as I can tell, there's probably quite a lot of different ranks that you level up through.
Right.
But because of that and the way they've chosen to represent them, it's really difficult to tell what rank you are and what how this. Because basically, you start off with it's the Team Fortress symbol, like that circle with. Yeah. Corners cut out, or whatever you call it.
Quadrants.
Yeah, quadrants. That weird Team Fortress symbol. You start off with that, and it's blue, sort of light blue. And then there's 5 little stars that appear above it for it's not even they're sub-ranks, it's just you get 5 stars above it, and it upgrades to the next one. It's just I guess it's sort of like the old military ranks of Battlefield, where you here's 1 stripe, and then you get a star, and then you get 2 stripes, or whatever.
Right.
It's just it's just rank progression, it's not representative of divisions like Rocket League has or anything. But so you have the Team Fortress logo, you have those 5 little stars, which then when you get the small version of that icon are blurry, pixelated messes that you can't really see.
Right.
But then when you level up, it's like it sets back to the Team Fortress logo without the stars again and changes to a slightly darker blue. It's like, well, this is great. So when I'm looking at the scoreboard in this rank that I'm at, you've got like pale blue, you've got slightly less pale blue, then you got blue, then you got slightly darker blue, then you got purple. And it's like, what are these ranks? How am I meant to distinguish who the good people are?
Just put a number on it, man.
Yeah, exactly. Or just use a military rank style where it's symbolic.
Yeah.
Not just the same symbol but different colours. I bet colourblind people fucking hate it.
Yeah. Even more than non-colourblind people, I don't know. That sounds awful.
Not that it matters, of course. It's just
yeah,
in casual anyway. It's just I did one.
So wait, does TF2 have a competitive?
Well, now it does with that matchmaking update. They sort of implemented official 6v6 matchmaking.
Huh.
Except it's not limited like esports 6v6.
Right.
They just let you do whatever, so you can have a team of snipers if you really want to.
Oh, okay, right. They don't do the Overwatch thing of saying you only allowed one hero.
No, they don't enforce any of the item limits like esports Team Fortress does.
Right.
You can have the Sandman if you want, whatever. We don't really give a shit. We're Valve.
Yeah.
We built the system just to let you play it.
We
don't really care what you do.
In some respects, that is kind of what Valve feel like these days.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just I guess it's still okay. It's still Team Fortress. I had practically the first game I joined. The one of the higher ranking people on our team was like, "I hope you're all Smurfs, all you low rank people, because otherwise we're going to lose." It's like, well, sure, but who cares?
Well, you mean you are? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I'm accidentally a Smurf. It's just
what is that a standard term for a
Smurf is an underranked player for their skill.
Right. Yeah.
So, if you started an alt account on CS:GO,
where does that come from then?
It's a counter. I think it comes from Counter-Strike. I don't know why it's called smurfing, but
it was probably some weird thing where at some point there was a mod that made you blue if you were suspected of smurfing or something.
Maybe.
I bet that was probably where that came from.
Is smurfing where you start a new account as a hardcore player
to troll people, basically. Yeah.
But it's why would you even say that in Team Fortress? Because the matchmaking thing has only just been introduced, and probably 50% of the people who are still playing Team Fortress are automatically going to be Smurfs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rank is completely irrelevant, and it doesn't go up that fast.
Any meaningful updates other than matchmaking?
Well, there's still the occasional bug fixes and balancing that they continue to do forever.
Right, yeah.
And I guess with the matchmaking thing, there was another class versus class vote thing for heavy versus pyro, and apparently there's going to be a class update for the class that won, which I think was pyro, if I remember rightly. Which is weird because it's so they're going to give the pyro another whole set of weapons at this point.
Yeah,
that seems weird. Then what are you going to do? Well, from the start, the pyro is one of the classes that has the most weapons.
They should be making Team Fortress 3.
That's not going to happen.
CS:GO.
Yeah, but that's CS again. That's not even CS free. That's CS.
CS again. Yeah, I suppose you're right.
That's the CS.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the only other thing.
Add a hero. Add a class.
Oh, you can't do that at this point. That would be a balanced nightmare.
Yeah.
They barely have everything vaguely balanced as it sounds. The only other thing that I played, especially, I guess, there was other stuff, but the main thing was I popped back into Space Engineers because I noticed that they patched it far enough that the realistic sound is not quite properly in, but it exists, so I could see what it was like.
Okay.
But then I also realised that I wasn't going to see what the realistic sound was like because I also played on a planet, which I hadn't played on since those had been introduced as well. And when you're standing on a planet in an atmosphere with your helmet open, it sounds like it always did, right. Because that's just the normal sound.
Well, so when you say realistic sound, are they muffling it in space?
Yeah, basically it's so on the planet you can still get some effect because if you close your helmet, everything gets slightly muffled, and if you get into a ship cockpit, everything gets more muffled. And I think I'm not entirely certain about it because I hadn't really explicitly noticed it. But I think when you're in an enclosed room, because when you've got realistic sound on, I think you automatically have pressurized rooms, like oxygenation, and that whole system enabled as well. So when you're in an enclosed room, that also muffles the outside as well, which is sort of cool.
That's neat, yeah.
As a mechanic. But yeah,
in actual space, the sound wouldn't travel at all, so you just get nothing, right?
Yeah, in actual space, they have another layer of it where it basically anything that you're physically attached to that's causing a vibration you can hear.
That makes sense.
So it's fairly realistic, I guess, sort of. But I haven't seen that. I haven't got to that point because I've still been on this planet.
So I guess the problem with realistic sound in space games is that it's boring.
Well, the trouble with Space Engineers that I had originally was that the sound effects were so terrible I actually wanted it to be silent. Oh, okay, so I turned them off.
Fine. So the muffling is actually probably better.
Yeah.
Apparently the ISS is it's kind of a problem that it's loud all the time. No, it's loud all the time because of all the systems and everything that's going. So it's you're basically, in a noisy environment.
In a server, essentially. Just listen to fans all day.
Yeah, you're in a server room for maybe 6 months or longer. Yeah, anyway.
So yeah,
earplugs. Good earplugs. Bose noise cancelling headphones.
Yeah, literally they do use noise cancelling headphone tech, etc. Yeah.
I've been trying to play this game of Space Engineers, but the other trouble with being on the planet, and I was kind of surprised how good the planets are. I would probably say they're better than fucking No Man's Sky's planets.
Right.
They look more like planets. They have actual terrain, like mountains and deserts and stuff. The only thing that they don't have is water. Anywhere there's a lake, it looks like a lake when you're far away, but when you get close, it's just completely flat, solid surface that's blue.
Right.
Yeah,
and you can mine it to get ice. So I guess it's a frozen lake, even though the temperature is clearly not below freezing, unless you're in the snowy areas. But then, so you're on this planet, and you can choose to start on the planet. That's one of the spawn types, is the planet start. And that actually makes it really fucking difficult to do things. Which I guess, it's almost like the Kerbal Space Program problem, where, you think campaign would be where, in Kerbal, you think the campaign would be where you get sort of tutorial progression elements, but the campaign actually makes it hard. And it's the same thing in Space Engineers. You think starting on a planet would be easy because, there's an atmosphere, so you don't have to worry about oxygen and stuff, and you don't. But actually dealing with gravity is a real fucking problem. I tried to build a mining ship and discovered that I could only mine for 5 seconds before the weight of the ore in the cargo hold made it impossible to fly. And I was like, oh shit, now I have to eject all this stuff until it becomes light enough that my engines can actually lift me again. So designing ships for atmospheric work is kind of difficult. You can build rovers, but then that doesn't really work because the minerals are more than 70 meters below the surface, so you have all this surface crap you have to mine through before you can even get to them.
Right.
So you kind of need to be able to fly to be able to just bore straight down and then lift it back up. But I managed. I got to the point where I've finally finished rebuilding the base from scratch. Because you start in an atmospheric lander ship, which is essentially they have the spawn ship for space, and then you've got this special spawn ship for planets, which has a refinery and an assembler and stuff on board, so you can make components, so you can actually build stuff, so you can actually do anything, I suppose. So what I did was I flew that down, looked for an interesting place to land, and then converted it into a base, so it becomes stationary and fixed. And I was yeah, that's a good idea. Except what I did wrong was when I created the block that I was going to attach it to on the surface of the planet, I created that block on the grid alignment instead of the gravity alignment. So it created the block, and I was that's fine, I've created this block, and now I'm going to attach the ship to it, and I did that, and then I realised that everything was very slightly slanted. I was fuck. So then I had to start a new platform aligned to the gravity, disassemble the entire ship, and then basically rebuild all the components into a new platform that was correctly aligned to the gravity. So I didn't have to look at everything slanted constantly.
Purely aesthetic reasons.
Well, and it makes like landing easier. And I've been having a real problem with like the connection point where I try and attach my ship. One of the problems is that there's a bug where the connectors just disconnect every time you load the game. Which is a problem if your ship is attached to a connector and then you load it, it's not any longer.
Yeah.
But then also I just keep like because of the way gravity is pulling you down and your ship's thrust is countering it. It's kind of difficult to fly downwards slowly because the acceleration is a lot more like when you try and fly up, you're like, oh, that's quite slow, and then when you try and fly down, you're like, whoop!
Yeah. You need like half thrust and
Yes, the gravity is quite a problem. And also wolves. Cyber wolves, they're robots. Even though they just look like wolves.
That is what you said, right? Okay. Like,
you did say wolves.
Yeah.
Yep, wolves. They're robots even though they just look like normal wolves. And they never stop! There's so many of them. They're always coming.
That's No Man's Sky, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. And it's like, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to turn them off or not, because I was like, it's like the meteor strikes. I don't normally play with meteor strikes turned on in Space Invaders, because it's just like, there's just meteors that come down occasionally and kill your shit. It's like, that's not fun. But then with the wolves, it's the same problem. It's like, these wolves will come and bite the crap out of whatever they can reach on the surface of the planet. And I was like, well, that's sort of not fun, but I kind of also want, like, the, like, small amount of attrition. Like, I want a reason to build guns and ammo and have that be a resource that I need to worry about to some extent, even though it's kind of annoying. So I still haven't turned them off. But also, they kind of suck. Like, their AI is bad, and they'll occasionally just get stuck attacking nothing but, like, at a place where you can hear them. So you're just standing around in your base and you'll just hear a wolf constantly going rawr, 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 at nothing, and they never move, and they'll just keep doing that forever unless you go and shoot them. So yeah, that would be nice if that got fixed as well.
Can you put them in a muffled room?
Well, you can close your helmet and slightly muffle it. Ignore those dogs. And also there's like the gun turrets occasionally can't target them correctly and will just waste all your ammo shooting at the floor. And
Great.
Standard sort of, Space Engineers still not a finished game bugs that one day may get fixed. They made the classic, like, the last update they posted, they do update videos with their updates. And they did the classic thing where it's like, yes, we hear all your problems where you're like multiplayer desyncing and stuff, and we're working on it, but here's some new blocks. It's like the classic problem of content versus bug fixing.
Yeah. They're going to have to catch up to their bugs eventually.
Yeah.
But I guess they still have to be seen to be making use. Well, I guess it's one of those things, like, depends on what their scope is, right? Like, how many features do they add before they suddenly... Like, in some ways, you kind of want to just content fill your game to see what sticks.
I mean, that's the classic problem with Dwarf Fortress, where it's like, he doesn't want to rewrite the UI because he's not done adding stuff.
Yeah, because you could get the UI. You could spend a lot of time doing the UI work only to find, actually, you know what, with the features we've now got,
that UI is not relevant.
That UI doesn't work, yeah.
Yeah. It's the classic Dwarf Fortress problem.
It doesn't understand that the MVP needs a decent UI. Well, it doesn't need, in this case, because there's enough insane people like you to play it. But if you want to be, like, truly successful, then it does need it.
I think he's totally successful. He still gets so much money.
He does fine. I guess he plays to his audience, right? Which is you, I guess.
Yep.
Did you pay for Dwarf Fortress?
Not yet. I do want to. As soon as I actually have money that I can frivolously spend on things, I'm actually going to pay some money for Dwarf Fortress.
The kind of person that has enough time to spend on playing Dwarf Fortress probably doesn't have the income.
Just put Fiverr in, something like that. You'll probably appreciate it.
I mean, yeah, I could easily donate like £5 now, but I want to actually make it.
I'll make a meaningful.
Yeah, make an actual donation.
All right, fair enough.
Make an actual. Like, I don't even know how long I played Dwarf Fortress because it's it's not a game that counts.
It must be an absurd amount of time. Maybe not Team Fortress 2 absurd, but pretty absurd.
I wonder how long I've played Minecraft.
Wow.
The thing about Minecraft is, like, on my system, I have so many goddamn different installs of Minecraft because I use that launcher that creates separate instances and you can mod it easier that way.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was thinking about how many different save files I have where it's like a half-completed world where it's like, I built this nice house and it's got all this stuff in it, and then I did it again in another save file because I modded it or a new version came out.
Yeah, how many times have you repeated yourself?
And that would be kind of interesting in some ways to do like a tour. Just like load all those old instances, because they should all still load because they're self-contained with that version. Go back and look at all these weird like save files. It's like, what was I doing here? How did I do it this time?
Do you even know? Like, do you have some of your really early ones still? So you can be like, here's me, here's crap me, and here's new me.
Yeah. Same for Dwarf Fortress. I could probably dig up quite a few old save files for that and be like, what the fuck was I even doing this time? What was the design goal here?
In fairness, I find that when I load up old music tracks. Like, what was I thinking?
Yes. So that's that, I guess. And I played Etrian Odyssey on the DS, but that's continuing to
be what it was.
Yep. Do some grinding.
No interesting new luring mechanics.
No, occasional grinding.
Occasional grinding.
That's actually a very convenient game for just spending 10 minutes on or whatever.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because it's just like, especially with the suspense
saves.
of
course, yeah.
You can be in a dungeon,
on that last
just
time.
grind up a level or two and then be done.
Yeah.
Don't have to go back to town or anything.
Splendid.
Yep,
that sounds like a conclusion.
That's it. It's the end of the podcast, folks. Stay tuned to
I know you're really hungry. I can tell.
Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more videos. There was a Project High Rise video went up the other day. Check that one out. And I'm sure there's more in the queue.
Sonic Heroes Part 7 is next.
Yep. So look forward to that. And we'll catch you in a couple of weeks for another Saladcast.
It's a bad one.
Is it?
It's the one where we... Well, spoiler alert, I suppose. It's the one where you end up fighting Team Sonic for a million hours.
Okay, maybe skip that one.
No, don't skip it.
No,
it's hilarious.
It's still pretty entertaining.
Okay,
it's not a million hours. It's like 10 minutes on this one fight that's really bad.
Okay.
The actual sequence we do is really bad. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Well, enjoy that. And as I said, this is the end of the Saladcast.
Yep.
I won't spoil what other videos we've got covered. Because as Zach says, they may be timely.
Well, they will be timely. Now you have to stand up.
I do.
Get your legs in working order.
Say goodbye, Zach.
I just did.
Okay.
That was me saying goodbye.
Bye.
Telling you to get off your ass.